Hello everyone and welcome to an episode of Tinfoil Friday, Foil Friday, whatever. It's alliterative. You get it. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a good weekend so far, if your weekend has started. Tomorrow is, of course, the 420 stream, so that'll be fun. Get anything you need for that if you'd like to partake, or if you'd like to watch. It'll just be a fun time. I think that's about it. That's, we have a patron-only live show this Sunday, so join the Patreon if you want to be a part of that. Get your bingo cards ready, we're gonna play. I can't give someone a bingo, but I'll put you on the list. You spent $20 on groceries today? I hope you were able to get some good stuff. Probably not a much these days. Stuff's expensive. Aaliyah, thanks for gifting a sub. Much appreciated. The bot should be fixed. And cool. Oh, you mean $420? You're having a bunch of friends over. Well, that should be delicious then. I hope you have fun. Alright. So let's pause this music and jump into it, shall we? What to start with? I've had this queued up for weeks and we haven't watched it. We should watch Dave talk about his urine fasting. The most cursed phrase in the English language. When are we going to finish The Pickup Artist? I know it's trash, but I can't stand not finishing a show. We finished it. We finished The Pickup Artist. Didn't we? We finished Season 1. We still got to do Season 2, though. If that's what you're asking, I can start next week. But we did finish Season 1. Anonymous, thank you for gifting, 10 tier 1 subs. That's very generous of you. I appreciate it, despite your anonymity. Thank you very much. Yeah, we finished it.
So tell us about the urine fast and why you wanted to fast and what the process was and so forth.
Okay.
This was 10 years ago. Now he pees slow. It's a prostate joke. It's an inflamed prostate joke.
Well, I was looking at this idea that we're facing a food crisis, and that's when Andrew Norton Webber's interview with Lisa Harrison just came into my sphere of vision, and he was talking about a urine fast. So I thought, well...
To be clear, I don't think he actually drinks urine in this video, he just talks about it. So if you're worried about the visual, there's no visual. It's just him talking about it.
If I could prove that, that you don't actually need to eat or drink for 30 days, then there wouldn't be any fear associated to a food crisis. 30 days is enough time to make arrangements to find food or grow your own or start the process to grow your own.
You could hypothetically go a month without eating. Like, it wouldn't be good, and it would depend on how much... Like, it's not gonna be good for you, but you can. That's not miraculous. It's just, like, shitty. And urine isn't gonna sustain you. It might keep you hydrated, but you need to continually put actual water in your body. You're gonna get diminishing returns and just more and more concentrated piss.
So I embarked on this fast just to prove that you could live without food or water for 30 days. And that you had...
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that. I don't think you can just drink your own urine for 30 days. I'm, like, honestly, on day 4, I'm like, you're gonna maybe get a little bit. I'm no Bear Grylls. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert on the piss drinking, but I feel like how much extra mileage are you really getting by recycling it? Not 30 days worth. You're not a camel.
Everything you needed. So yeah, I mean, if I was supposed to do a proper urine fast, I guess I would be drinking water, probably distilled water, but for the purposes of this experiment, I decided not to drink any water at all. So yeah, I embarked upon it, and the results...
I don't understand why he thinks it makes it scientific to not drink water. Doesn't understand the scientific method on the bingo card? Why does he have a kitchen? Wouldn't a restroom do him? It's hard to find an apartment with no kitchen.
The first 4 days.
I'm good. How are you, NB Vixen?
The most striking was that my last fire department medical I was told I had the lungs of a 70-year-old. Now, I'd been asthmatic for nearly 40 years, and my lungs were shot because I'd been sort of spraying myself with these steroid-based inhalers.
Is he gonna claim that the pee fixed his lungs?
4 days into the fast, I noticed that my breathing had changed.
He's gonna claim the pee fixed his lungs.
And I was out on a...
Alright then. Toriador says, in life or death survival situations, you can distill chemically filter urine to reduce the toxicity.
walk,
I hope I'm not in that situation ever.
and I had the urge to run. I ran for half a mile before I stopped, and I was like, I can breathe. You know, it was absolutely stunning. My lungs had come back. I also
Hewitt Goblin says, I have the lungs of a 70-year-old. They're in a jar on my desk. Why are you screaming?
cured
Hype train.
nerve damage in my foot from an Achilles tendon operation, and all the way down the scar that operation produced. There was a dull pain that had been with me for 4 years, and 4 days into the fast, gone. I also...
I've always thought Dave is a true believer. This is making me think grifter, because this is ridiculous even by his standards. I heard, Profane Priestess. That's great. Congratulations.
got my limb flexibility back. I could get into the full lotus position. I haven't been able to get into that position since I was 16. My hair started to regrow, and as I said before, the lines and wrinkles on my face started to disappear. I had all the crow's feet disappear, and I had lots of
Did they?
lines under my eyes.
Like, I can see them. Like, this is pretty bad quality footage, but even I can see the lines under your eyes. It's okay, you're a human being. That happens. I have lines, especially like here. It happens. That's completely fine. P did not fix your face. P did not fix your face. P will not fix your face.
They faded. Had some very deep sort
If anything, if you're drinking pee all the time, I feel like you're just dehydrating yourself, which is going to be way worse for your skin.
troughs going across my forehead, but they've turned into kind of fine lines now. And yeah, across where I used to have really well-defined laughter lines, just this last month, the tops of them have started to disappear. So yeah, I kept a diary of it. So every day I'd like
On his little iPod Touch. I know that's probably an early iPhone, but
sort of talk
urine fast diary.
about what was actually going on with my body. I lost
Wow, and it still had the button at the bottom.
a whole lot of weight. I didn't weigh myself beforehand because I wasn't expecting to lose any weight.
It's pee.
Right.
He's drinking pee.
But I actually went in 7 belt notches to the point where I had to actually drill.
To fix your skin, you have to bathe in pee like a urine-inspired Countess Bathory.
2 new holes
I don't like that. I didn't like that sentence. Why did you make me read that?
in my...
How old is this video? 6 years, but it looks like it's older than that. He uploaded this 6 years ago, but this video looks like it's from at least 15 years
my
ago.
belt. You can see on my belt that, if I bring it out there, that you can probably just about see the first mark. I was
No,
like
probably not
literally
quite
hanging
15.
on
10.
to this belt. And
Hydrate.
as the urine fast went on, you can see,
See, I'm drinking water, not urine, as far as you know.
it went in to the point where I had to drill these 2 new holes. And now that
You can get a new belt.
I'm
They make belts.
I've been doing it for 3 years now. I mean, I'm almost ready for another hole to be drilled.
And you're eating
It's been 3 years. Get a new belt. I can appreciate frugality, but Jesus Christ, at a certain point, get a new belt.
certain foods. Do you taste your diet in the urine?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about some of those things.
Okay. Well, what I find about with urine therapy is that it starts to steer you away from things that you shouldn't be eating and steering you towards things you should. I found with me...
The pee steers you towards what you should be eating? I don't think is the pee talking to you? Is the pee in the room with us right now, Dave?
Beer is one thing I can't drink anymore.
Really?
Because you find a direct correlation. You know, you have a few beers the night before, you collect your wee, and it's like, oh, gold. Yeah, you start to make that connection.
Hear me out. Stop drinking your piss. Solves the problem. 30 seconds left on the hype train.
I can't drink beer anymore, so I've switched to cider, which actually doesn't have a bad effect. I can't eat beans, or I don't drink coffee very much, but the very rare occasion that I do is like, yeah, I know it. So it does steer you away because you've got like a direct feedback loop.
I think the whole roundness of it, it's so beautiful that the cleaner you are, the purer.
Lennon Cat, thank you for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
The better effect it
Holy
has.
crap,
So
did that get us over level 3 just barely? I think you last minute fucking saved that. Hell yeah, Lennon Cat, thank you.
Round and round circle of
Isn't cider what killed Jordan Peterson? Yes. R.I.P. Jordan Peterson, a man who is dead for sure. That's my new headcanon.
health and good living, which I think is wonderful.
And every time it is filtered and replayed before it comes out, it is actually improved in quality. And dear Lord,
No, your pee's getting worse. Your pee's getting worse.
is when we drink
It's not wine.
you actually are making the body
NB Vixen, thanks for a 40 stream streak, says 40 Hannah streams. That's almost halfway to 100.
filter it, rejig it,
You'll get there. We'll get to 100.
refilter it, rejig it, and stimulating the body in some way, shape or form to get a better product.
And so I do these fasts where I do get very hungry. I've done some just on water and pea. And then I often do water, pea and grapes. And what's so beautiful is, of course, by the time you finished your fast, you hold up a glass of pure water and you hold up a glass of your pea, and you can't tell the difference.
What universe are you in that you think that continually drinking your pee makes it less pee and more water? You're peeing it. The more you pee it, the more pee it is. You're distilling your piss down to even pissier piss. You're trying to come up with the platonic piss. Messy Jaden says, these types of people always confuse me. Like, your body is getting rid of it. Why would you try to reuse your own body's waste? It's like trying to use pus to get rid of pimples. It makes no sense. Right? It's already in my body. If my body needed it, why is there a hole there to let it out? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Lennon Cat says, I'm genuinely surprised they haven't found a better, more in-group term for urine.
Oh, absolutely. Your pee is turned to water, pure water.
Let's workshop it. Chat, what do you think? What's our consumer-friendly name for pee? Nature's Cure. No, that's already a brand, isn't it? Nature's Bounty. Life Water's good. Life Water's pretty good. I think Life Water's the winner, because it sounds vaguely like spiritual. Nature's Pea's pretty good. Dick Cider. Water, too! Woo! Ooh, Safia, thanks for gifting five memberships on YouTube. Much appreciated.
And that's a lovely feeling that you're cleansed.
Oh, you're right. Some do call it Shabambu. I still think Life Water's the best. I still think Life Water has that particular, like, new agey bullshit sound to it.
True.
These days, I just drink it neat and still warm, which actually feels more natural.
Does it? Does drinking your pee feel natural to you? Good God.
There is a way of drinking it where you don't have to experience any taste or smell, and the way I do it, if I feel like it, is I have a glass of water or freshly squeezed juice standing by. I take a couple of deep breaths, hold my breath, and then drink it down. And while still holding my breath, just have a couple of mouthfuls of the water or juice. And that way, you cut out the smell part by holding your breath. And then
Jaden
when
thinks
you
for 50
take
bits.
a few mouthfuls, you take away any taste. And while you're drinking it,
45
when you're
seconds on
drinking
the
the
hype
urine,
train.
all you're getting is, you know, sweetness, saltiness,
Thanks, nobody
bitterness.
important.
It could be miso soup, for all you know.
It's not
There's a-
miso soup. I can tell the difference between a miso soup and Dave's pee. I promise you.
The smell part of it has been cut out altogether.
Do you think you'll go back on a urine fast again?
That is something. I mean, the experiment to not eat or drink anything, you know, might mean that I don't eat or drink anything ever again. But I may play around with the urine fast and maybe do a 60-day or 90-day.
Play around with the urine. Jaden says life water, lemon and life water, cherry, get it today.
One. But yeah, we'll see. I'm taking it very as it comes these days.
If you find cherry in your life water, please go seek a doctor.
Do you think urine therapy will ever be socially accepted?
Well, when I first started telling people about urine therapy, I'd get the usual reaction that, I couldn't do that. It seemed that was the sort of baseline reaction of ordinary folk. But over the last year or so, I've noticed that every time I tell somebody, it's usually, oh, I've heard of that. Or
what's interesting is, does Dave understand that he's filled his circle of, like, friends with other alt health people? Even if they themselves are not urine drinkers, they're probably friends of friends who are also in these alt health circles. He shifted his personal, like, Overton window of people he knows to people more okay with piss drinking. But he seems to think that that is some sort of comment on the Overton window of the world in general towards piss drinking, which it is not.
oh yeah, my
Hey,
dad.
non-binary. This is a non sequitur. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's coming out. That's exciting.
Dad used to tell me to wear on my hands when I used to get warts, or all sorts of little stories like that. I don't often get that sort of reaction. So something is changing. So to answer the question, yeah, I think it's already almost socially acceptable. You know, the reaction is...
Did I hear about the conspiracy theorist who self-immolated outside of the Trump trial? I heard someone did that. I didn't know they were a conspiracy theorist, though stands to reason, given the indications of potential mental health issues. You know, burning yourself, not a fun thing.
Seems to be abating, and people are accepting it. Still a lot of people will say, you know, I don't know if I can do that, but there seems to be an equal number of people who, after I speak to them about it, they're saying, yes, I'm going to try that when I get home. And I often get a follow-up email from them saying, yes, I've just started, you know, what do I do about this, that and the other? So yeah, I think it won't be long before it is socially acceptable, but it's going to be an underground social acceptability, because I don't
Do you know what social acceptability is?
think the mainstream media are ever going to start to publish such information.
Big Soda won't want us to know the truth about the healing power of life water. AKA, your piss. Okay, sure. That's interesting, Ryan Cooper. Could you post it in the Discord or somewhere? I'll check it out. What did I want to cover next? What did I want to cover next? What did I want to cover next? Let's go ahead and pick this.
Welcome back, it's Julie Blue. It is April 2024. This is going to be different than most videos that I normally do. I happened to run into one of my videos that I made at the beginning of 2021 or the end of 2020. I was watching the end of it and I went, whoa. I've cut out the rest of the video for now, just so I can show you the last 2 minutes and 38 seconds of it. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I think I've come up with something. Like, it makes sense what I'm seeing here. There's a connection between Alice and...
That's a sick burn, profane priestess. I don't know how I'll recover from that one. Man who set himself on fire outside Trump trial identified as researcher who posted conspiracy-laden manifesto moments earlier. Maxwell Azzarello, 37, critical condition. Long history of posting conspiracy theories. Yeah. Probably a mental health thing. That sucks.
in Wonderland specifically, and I show all, in a decode, I show all the connections to the words I'm going to bring up here in a second. Well, let me just get into them. I really want to share this with you guys because there's something strange about this. One of the things I bring up at the end in this little clip that I'm going to play for you in a minute is sofa. And I tell you why I bring up sofa at the end of this video throughout the video prior to it.
Did you know for the first time?
And I explain why sofa comes up now at the end of this video, but sofa has big meaning and connection to Rachel Chandler's wedding menus at the top of it. The numbers at the top are 300313. I think it's supposed to mean March 30th, 2013, but nonetheless, it's 300313. I go and I break that down. I even show you Friends. What's the main thing that everyone knows about Friends, even if they never watched the show, is that sofa.
What was that for? Oh, it was a link someone was sending for something. Sorry, I know it was loud suddenly.
At the beginning. I show you how sofas, when you search 300313,
Hemsworth jump scare. Hemsworth can jump scare me.
they keep
I'm not even into Hemsworth. You know who's attractive? The Captain America guy. The other Chris.
bringing up sleeper sofas. And then I
I'm big
pull up
into
the
Captain
drops,
America,
300, 313. And what do you know? It says, can't sleep at night in one of them. It references Hussein, who is also a part of the
Q claimed as a source. She's showing a Q drop right now. Clinton is mentioned in this Q drop, so Clinton's as well.
the decode, Renegade. And the second drop, 313, has the little R for Renegade, which is a sofa, furniture, but sleeper sofa company. And it has the same R
I don't know how we got to sleeper sofas.
that they use on, I don't want to say too much here because I'm not trying to talk about the beginning of the video, but I have to talk about it so that you understand this next part that I'm going to show you. But it all connects. So sofa is something you're going to see in this little clip I'm going to bring up to you, but a sofa score, what is it? It's a scoring system that assesses the performance of several organ systems in the body. And it stands for the Sequential Organ Failure Assessment.
Oh, this is gonna be some anti-vax shit.
That's SOFA. So that's what that is. That shows you they're scoring your body to see how much life you have left in you, how much is working correctly, right?
How much life you have, like a health bar in video games.
Right. The next thing is map. We've all been looking for the map, and there's lots of definition and theory about what map means.
Spurious symbology is evidence on the bingo card.
But
This is like big, this is very Q baking. This is what decoding Q drops looks like. It's just word association rambling.
arterial pressure is...
Have there been conspiracies relating to the cloud seeding and flooding in Dubai? There have been. I don't think I pulled out any for today, but I have seen them, including today I saw a few, but they weren't that interesting. People who are into the weather control HARP thing suddenly are acting like they were right all along because cloud seeding is a thing, which is different than the thing they were talking about. But nonetheless, they're going, aha, see, we were right all along, even though that's not what that is.
Another definition for the acronym of MAP. And it's checking your systolic and diastolic blood pressure values. So here we are with high blood pressure, hypertension, all of that stuff. These things keep repeating themselves with different acronyms. The next one is Apache. That's in the drops. I'm not sure how many times, but it's definitely there. That stands for Acute Physiology and Chronic Health Evaluation. It's, well, they say it's a severity of disease classification system. So it's the emergency rooms will apply this Apache system within 24 hours of your admission to score you, to see where you stand. The things that it's scoring can be used to describe the morbidity of a patient. Predicted mortalities are average for groups. Okay, so again, it's scoring. And these are the things it's scoring for, but here we are again with blood pH, heart rate, respiratory, right? Then another thing that I have in this about him and reading through him is that he has something to do and worked with double helix, which I don't understand a lot about that. I understand basics, which I'm not gonna.
Latest Q drop: Joe Biden Gorilla Glue. Life is fuck. 4,587,914 supporters dead.
Describe here. You can look all this up on your own to get a better idea, and maybe you have a better sense of science than I do. But all I had to type in was double helix, Andre Balish, and here's one article with Science Direct. There he is, right there. That's the father of Andre Balish. Okay. And immediately, and this is part of the video that I made before too, it talks about, here he is right here. He's there. He's cited here. He's the one that played a lot with and discovered the pure form of HA, polysaccharide hyaluronan. Okay. Ha is in drops. Remember there's a drop that's ha, 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 ha. Remember that? It's also humabedin.
Oh, this lady needs help.
There's
she is deep into the
so
Q
many
drops.
different
Holy shit.
directions you can go with this here. So I'm trying to be.
Altered Undying says, I want to thank you because in my vampire game they fought evil vampire clowns. One of the players is having his character get obsessed with evil clowns. Due to Tinfoil Tuesday, I was able to share with him the clown Nephilim theory. He was delighted and horrified. He made a fake conspiracy chart if you want to see it. I would love to see it.
Be quick with this, but he did a lot relating to eyes. But here he is. And if you read into the stuff that he did, double helix is something that he was very, very smart man. But his son, Andre, the Standard Hotel Andre, was very involved in a lot of this with him. They split when Andre went into the hotel business, which was a weird split from science with his father straight into hotels. So there's more behind.
I mean, if they have money, that's not crazy. If he wanted to go into hospitality, he doesn't have to do the same thing as his dad.
Behind Andre here. But there's a lot with Andre. And, you know, think about this. We've all been shown all this stuff from Q for, you know, regarding Standard Hotel.
Yeah, the Q stuff does tend to jump all over the place like this.
Adam Schiff, Andre Balish.
I haven't actually seen people do Q baking recently just because, I don't know, the Q stuff, it's been done to death. I don't know. So it's kind of interesting seeing someone still doing it, jumping around even more than they used to.
But we've never had it actually put
They really have to bend backwards to justify these connections.
Together for us, right? So something big is going to come of why Andre is so important to us. I think his father, Andre, has a lot to do with that. But double helix is definitely related to LDNA. So there's that. This is part of the segment I'm going to show you. And you see here, it talks about zip codes. And then it says, and this is about the LDNA. Okay, you see how I split Wonder DNAL? That's Wonderland. You'll see what I did in it, but I turned it around to now red LDNA. It's
Jesus Christ. Alright, that's all that I can handle. Lilac Rosenberg with a link to a TikTok. Let's take a look. That's pretty good. Altered Undying with the link. Clowns, creepy. Oh god, I gotta zoom in a little bit. This is the chart from the D&D thing. Clowns, creepy, something, dislikes, normies? Normies equals humanity. Subhot. Subhot equals clowns. Clowns. I can't read this. I also can't read this. Ringling Brothers is secret Sabbat leadership. Showman equals evil vampire propaganda. Greatest showman equals evil vampire propaganda. Persona 5. What? Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, here's Jim Caviezel.
Have to do a lot more. And
The bingo bot's dead in YouTube chat again. Let me try and fix that. Give me a sec. That's not what I wanted. How about this? Yeah. You don't get to look at me. Just stay there while I fix it. Okay? This is like you're 9 years old and your parents are mad and you're left in the car while they fight. Just give me a sec while I fix the bot. Oh, it says it's on. Let me turn it off and back on again. Maybe it'll work. Off? On. Hopefully in a minute that'll work. If not, I will have to manually get a link for you.
we got to
It's a very specific story. All stories are if you're detailed enough.
start with Donald Trump.
What do you mean?
Well, he's got to be in there because he's going to go after the traffickers.
Do you think he understands that?
We were with him last night.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Bedminster, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
so
showed it.
he's going to be moved to do something. I didn't know that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was in
He's
tears
gonna.
last night.
This is the new Moses. I mean, I'm still Jesus, but he's the new Moses. Pharaoh, let my children go free.
All right.
He's not doing well, is he? That's a shame. Hey, so you know the new Boston Dynamics robot that's horrifying? Hans has opinions. What opinion do you think he has about the new Boston Dynamics robot? You can guess what it is, if you know anything about Hans.
It's going to be really short, very casual, and I'm going to...
Messy Jaden says, no one says I'm still Jesus and is a stable, sane human being.
show some footage that I saw on Reddit that's just ridiculous. I'm surprised more people don't point out how Boston Dynamics is not real most of the time. It's usually just CGI of robots. But before I get to that, I want
You can tell because of the way it is.
to show this angry atheist rant on Reddit. I effing hate Christianity. 9 times out of 10, it's very targeted. It seems like it's not very often people have a problem with religion in general, which is like...
A lot of people do. This post is probably from someone who's recently an atheist who's angsty and upset about things. Understandably to an extent, but yeah, they seem like a young person who's very upset that they feel lied to.
Like, even I have a problem with organized religion in general. But a lot of times it's very targeted.
I'm gonna skip the robot part.
Directly at Christians, that it makes them smarter. Imaginary friend over their own... Even though they clearly don't believe, don't have super strong connections with an unfortunate, sad truth. Not everybody who makes it to heaven, literally everybody related to them
Oh my god, talk about the robot, you fuck.
is going to make it to heaven. It was like that Reddit person was very hostile, oftentimes hostility. Anyways, Jesus told us that this would happen. Alright, on to...
Literally, it's most of the video before he gets to the thing the title is about.
this video. Let's just watch this.
It looks like a cursed Pixar lamp grew up and wants revenge.
And yeah, I'm of the strong opinion that most everything out of Boston Dynamics, I don't think it's real robotics. I think it's CGI of robots. Let me know what you think in the comments.
For those who haven't seen this is creepy as fuck. So prepare yourself for that, especially if you're afraid of robots.
Play it one more time.
Do 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 do. No Italian Shakespeare, no. Y'all have problems. I think I have
Yeah, so in
problems,
my
and I hear
opinion,
you
that's
guys
just
talk. Every time one of you is like, hear me out.
CGI.
Y'all make me feel normal. That's a bar.
Let me know what you think.
So Hans just doesn't believe that that's real. For reasons. Just for reasons.
'Tis day.
You know how it is.
We are in the final stages of this whole operation. Now, if you want to call it a movie, if you want to call it a Q thing, if you want to call it just the Great Awakening, whatever it is, this is actually working. And what I mean is that people are waking up to the reality of what's going on. And
yes, he thinks that real animals are animatronics and robots that are sort of animatronic in nature, he thinks don't exist. Nothing is real. Everything is not what it is. What is important to Hans is that he has a feeling that everyone is lying to him all the time, so nothing is what it seems, ever. Even when one thing isn't as it seems, contradicts another thing that isn't as it seems. As long as they all individually are against what the mainstream narrative is, then it's true, even when they conflict with each other.
And whether you think it's played out in sort of an actor and movie type of thing, people are playing a role, or it's controlled and strategized and executed to some degree of knowing the variables, yet understanding what the unknown variables are and working through that. This is all being done according to plan. And we have Trump.
No, this isn't Hans. This is a guy named Chris.
Trump here with his trial.
He's a Trump conspiracy theorist. He's like Peter, but a little more put together.
Going on this Hush Bunny trial, and he's been posting a lot. He's been very frequent with his YouTube postings and his social media, talking a lot about election interference, this being a witch hunt, it's an assault on America. And so there's a very common sort of motif here. This is not a prosecution, it's persecution. He also does...
No, it's a prosecution. There was a grand jury and everything.
Some very odd things. If you saw Trump meeting with House Speaker Mike Johnson and them introducing something together. In fact, a lot of people questioning why is it that he is introducing a bill and what is it that's going on? And
because he's the presumptive nominee for the presidential candidacy.
In terms of his role behind the scenes. Now, of course, as a private citizen, you can write and introduce bills, but if it's endorsed by a member of Congress, but the bigger issue, of course, is that Trump, his hand is in a lot of things, as well as many other people. Now, what we are seeing is a unjust judge carrying out this whole thing, and people are waking up. Trump confirms that the New York judge, Juan Merkin, said that he won't be able to attend his son, Barron Trump's graduation.
Yeah, if your trial's the same day as a thing, the trial wins. Don't break the law.
And also said that the judge won't let him attend a hearing before the Supreme Court. It's a political witch hunt. We are not going to be given a fair trial. It is perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. And of course, this whole thing, if you want to see it in two lenses, right? I've said this before. We are looking at three different audiences because this is an operation to wake up people. And the thing that's happening with the court cases is targeting audience 1 and audience 2 to make them wake up, to make them understand that there's a political injustice happening to him right now.
But if it was being staged, then it wouldn't be a political injustice because it would be something that was manufactured by him, right?
And to the degree that this is real, it's true, this whole judge, everybody that's against him, they are actually fighting a battle to take him down. But on the other hand, to those that are in audience 3 that are more awakened, we are looking for other clues and other things for which it goes into conspiracy and crazy things. And one of which is that there are actors playing out roles, and this is being manufactured to some degree. So I'm not here to say that this whole case is completely manufactured to get people solely to wake up and Trump has nothing to worry about. But what I'm saying is that people are questioning certain things. People
question things all the goddamn time. That doesn't make their questions based on reality.
Looked at oddities on this whole case and 2 guards and how they're similar. Others are talking about...
Yeah, I saw that there's guards that they're 2 women wearing glasses. Apparently that's suspicious.
this whole case and 2 guards and how they're similar. Others are talking about how
this trial can't be real. 2 of the people at this place look similar. This is the level we're at. This is where we're at with these people. Fenigami says, hello, have you seen Jeremy's video about the Warhammer quote-unquote controversy? It's hilarious even if you know nothing about Warhammer because he repeatedly mispronounces words that are clearly spelled, calls the 40k tabletop game D&D with Warhammer lore, and even I know that's not true, and calls the codex lore books when there are the rules for playing the factions. His grift is so obvious now, and I'm curious if my quartering fan friend has seen it because he should be pissed as a Warhammer fan. He'd give him a pass. Almost certainly.
Not the real Trump, that there's a body double. Why would they send the real person? And that there are actors or doppelgangers and people looking at...
Why would they send the real guy? Because he's required to be there. It's his trial. It is a criminal trial.
The oddities of how usually at the end he does his power stance of pausing, standing up straight, pulling in his jacket. But this double tried it, but failed, squinting eyes, looking tired, and just very...
It can't be Donald Trump. He seemed disheveled, upset, and tired. Is that a conspiracy? That's worth coming up with a conspiracy about? Goddamn.
Big oddities. And other people, this person is looking at doppelgangers, doubles, digital sort of duplication. So look at this lady, and it's going to repeat multiple times.
This lady is here.
Watch what she says about some audience members.
Too funny. This lady is here. It's just too funny. This lady is here. And then there she is. and this man is here.
People both in checkered shirts?
He's here. And then
how many conspiracy theories are just people with face blindness?
He's here as well.
It's another white guy in a...
So again, similar to the election, similar to ceremonies, similar to many events, people are looking at it.
Are they trying to claim that it's CGI or that they're using twins and triplets? I don't even understand the specifics of the conspiracy here other than it's fake. And I guess that's the point. You don't need to be specific. It's a vibes thing. You gesture in the direction of the narrative you're trying to spin, and people will fill in the blanks. But that's frustrating, isn't it?
And they're
not even really making a claim, just like, isn't this weird? Not really. Not really.
They're saying something is odd because the world is a stage. And there are others like Derek Johnson and many others that are looking at oddities in actual airplane flight data and things like that that show why is it that the National Guard
vibes-based conspiracies on the bingo, yeah.
Is up on a Tuesday with 0 state emergencies. And it's odd, and Derek and many others pointed out that during times of peace, they operate under the Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, but then during wartime, they operate under the Navy. And so these are things for which if you read laws and orders and the codes of, different things and just all this stuff, this is what they talk about. And it's very odd, and you have to look at the detail. So I'm saying all this because, again, what we are witnessing is an awakening that's heightening. And to those that are waking up, they're seeing it from one perspective. Like there's an injustice, there's Trump and all this stuff. On the other hand, if you want to go towards the group 3, or rather the audience 3 perspective, which is that there's a staged movie being played out right before your very eyes. And to the degree that a lot of these guys are actors, or they're being told what to do, they're being activated. Recently, there was a 30-day comm or something about Lindsey Graham being activated because somebody, I think the Navy had taken down this post about somebody who was in charge of the U.S., John McCain, and his rifle was backwards. And it was a comm, a very clear comm to something about the unnamed person of John McCain and some other stuff coming down the pipeline. So these are clues, again, to that reference Q.
No idea what he's talking about, so don't ask.
And this whole slew of information that has been coming true over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And so this is clearly something deeper than something we can just say out loud and say that this is the truth. Because again, we are fighting a real war against real enemies. We have to catch them, but at the same time, we have to handhold people.
I wish Biden was Steve Martin.
And awaken them through the whole process because it's been that crazy. So this is where we are at. And the more people get into this realm Elon Musk has been posting like crazy.
No, I don't think that's word salad. He was referencing a specific thing. I just don't know the thing he's referencing, so it sounds nonsensical, but I'm sure he's referencing a specific, like, conspiracy post or claim.
People are posting like crazy. It's taking over the world by storm because they're researching and finding out it is not what it seems. It is not what it appears. And this is what is happening right now. And so again, it's going to sound crazy until the coincidence, the level of statistical improbability of something occurring, or the communication, the comms, all this stuff doesn't match up to what you think is just, oh, that's just random happenstance, just random coincidence. There's something more that's happening. And this is the movement people are moving towards. So again, I'm saying this because there are different audiences. Trump, the white hats, they're going to play a facade in some sense so that it can cater to the normie, to the people that are waking up, and then to others. There are those, many of us, that, again, maybe it might be far-fetched or stretched in some sense. To others, it's very clear because the level of probability in understanding what a connection to the comms and all this stuff is, it's just very obvious that it wouldn't be coincidence, right? And so this is what's happening. I want to encourage you guys because...
Doesn't understand what a coincidence is on the bingo card. He's just saying random things happening are coincidences.
We are in a good time. Do not fret. Whatever's happening, whether it's the Iran, Israel stuff, a lot of it, I think, in my opinion, is being hyped up in that it's a controlled demolition. It's a controlled sort of movement that people that are at the highest levels of power and who have buy-in into this, they're agreeing to do this for...
False flag on the bingo card.
For a reason. So whether they are under house arrest and they are forced to cooperate, or they are just being taken over by masked doppelganger actors because the other people, the real people, either were already executed, all right, or they're in Gitmo and they're waiting trial and other things need to happen. So again, you can't just tell the world, hey, we took out these guys, they've been executed, they were stood on trial and all that, but rather you have to show them. You have to slowly bring it out. And so you will see the downfall of these guys. Biden, who supposedly doesn't exist anymore. This is a masked guy.
Supposedly. Who supposes? Who's supposing that, Chris?
You'll see Obama. You'll see many, many traitors being taken down. So we're in a good season. God is working, and more good things are to come. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.
Thanks. Let's take a look at the bingo card. Because, oh boy, we have some stuff to fill out. Misunderstanding of the scientific method. Doesn't know what a coincidence is. We're all watching a movie. The deep state. Clinton's, Obama, Biden. Hanneman, did I mention Blu-rays? It seems like something I would have done. Maybe I didn't today. I don't know. No. Correlation isn't causation. False flag. Vibes-based conspiracy. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Staggering levels of hypocrisy from Hans over the animatronic robot thing. Spurious symbology as evidence. QAnon referenced. Think that's it? Anything? Is batshit on the bingo card? Consider that the free space. Boo-doop boop ba-doop boop.
Put in deleted, shadow banned.
Oh, this guy sucks. This guy super sucks.
Welcome to the most deleted, shadow banned, demonetized, censored, and trolled channel on social media. Recipient of the Patriot Warrior Purple Q Award.
Purple Q Award!
Hello, this is Dave from Net for Truth, USA, Inglorious Patriots. It is April 1st, 2024, and the time now is 00:53 hours Eastern Time here in beautiful southern North Carolina.
This one is an interesting guy to take a look at, in particular because, yes, he is into QAnon, which is a movement that ostensibly claims to care about protecting children, but this gentleman was convicted in the 90s of harming a child in exactly the way you were assuming. So, hypocrite. If we didn't already have hypocrisy on the bingo card, we'd be getting it. But there you go. Hydrate.
What you are about to
Yep, of a child.
hear is not an April Fool's joke. In fact, I covered this subject back in January of 2021, and I will leave a link to that.
Yes, he was the guy that was in that documentary with the channel, what was it, Channel 8, Channel 5 guy, Andrew Callahan.
Video on BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube so that you can verify what I'm saying. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have some very reliable sources that have proven 100% correct in the past. Starting with the tarmac meeting back in the day, that everybody called bullshit on for 18 months until it was revealed as fact. Going back a long ways. The Jeffrey Epstein fake suicide in Vietnam that we uncovered.
What?
The fake mosque shooting in New Zealand.
He's into all the worst shit. He's Alex Jonesing.
Which was total bullshit. And a number of different things. But this one probably is the big one because, as I've been saying, since I started my...
I thought he said huge tube. Like he was trying to do the Donald Trump huge. I could be wrong, though.
Realm into social media back in 2015 on their tube, with 33 channels summarily deleted because I don't pull any punches, I don't bleep out any words, and I speak the truth. Verifiable truth. The coup d'etat, the real insurrection, happened on November 22nd, 1963, when the CIA and other operatives, in a triangulation of crossfire, assassinated a duly elected president of the United States.
Oh, he's on JFK stuff. We don't see JFK stuff as often. When I started this show, and I was like, I'm gonna do conspiracies at least once a week. Now it's closer to twice a week. I really thought we'd be getting JFK conspiracies constantly. Maybe that's more of an 80s, 90s conspiracy, and I was just used to that in the media hearing about it a lot. Doesn't come up as often as you'd think. They just don't give a shit. It's old news. It's blasé to them.
And made up the most horrific, unbelievable bullshit story imaginable, including magic bullets, lone shooters, the shooter of the shooter, Jack Ruby, and a bunch of other things. And that, my friends, is the long and the short of it. And we've known for a very long time that this was the fact. And in order to pull that off, they had to have the full complicity of the mainstream media. And of course, back then, nobody questioned the mainstream media because why would they lie?
What are you talking about? The conspiracy theories about JFK's assassination started almost immediately. The idea that there were not constant questions and investigations into this from a million different angles is ahistorical. What are you talking about?
Well, they would lie because of what is coming out.
It's a mint julep cup? Him bringing up Vietnam makes you think of this? Oh no, what is it? God damn it.
Shit.
I can't play this because we're on YouTube right now. Not everything's about Viet fucking Nam. It's a good clip, though.
Hollywood lately.
What's my favorite meal? That's a good question. I like a really good patty melt. Like, I think a great patty melt with, like, the right cheeses and the perfect toast is just fucking delicious. So give that a try. And some fries or something with it.
And you'll see nothing but P. Diddy this, P. Diddy that, this Jay-Z, that, the other.
Hannah mentions cheese. I did mention cheese.
Thing.
You probably did that intentionally, but you got me.
This shit's been going on for years, folks. This shit ain't nothing new. This shit, you just have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. And if you...
I'm so curious about what the internal, like, mind of this guy must be, because, like I said, he's a convicted pedophile. He's a pedophile. So in his head, he knows that he's that, but at the same time is demonizing hypothetical, imaginary, satanic child, like, abusers. Is this a way of him sort of making himself feel better about himself and his own, like, urges, whatever you want to fucking call it? Is this a way for him to feel better? Like, I'm bad, but at least I'm not satanic and murdering them. You know what I mean? Is this a way for him to feel like a better person?
If you don't have that, you're living in Nanu land. Like most of these libtard assholes. And these assholes who will see the marquee on BitChute and they don't even watch the video. They click the down button, the down thumbs button, because they're a bunch of fucking assholes. And they, if it wasn't for us, would reap the benefits of what they've sown. So, libtards, you can thank people like me for saving your ass in the end.
You are a He just makes me mad. Why do I pick him? Why do I ever pick him? I find him so interesting, but he just makes me so mad.
Because
he's such a hypocrite.
If you think that by siding with the libtards and the techno-nuts...
Okay, I gotta stop. He keeps using really gross ableist language, so... Let's move on.
To the Vinny Eastwood Show. We have something very special for you right now. A little bit of info on Australian sovereignty, as it turns out. Our special guest today is Wayne Levitt, coming at us from the nice desert state of Australia. Wayne, welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you.
DM Trey says, the JFK shooting is my favorite because it was taken so seriously that there was a congressional committee on it. What aspect doesn't make sense? It was just big and people don't like that some guy could kill the most powerful man in the world all the time. Yeah, proportionality bias. Any update on the Peter meetup? No, haven't heard from him. I'll try and reach out soon. Ex-solicitor, was he disbarred? Probably. The Sovsit types are. I think he's probably going to talk a little bit of Sovsit stuff.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. Now, you were telling me that you have some, unconventional news to spread, and you have chosen specifically to lay it on us here at the Vinny Eastwood Show. I would love it if you could just preface for myself.
We are playing bingo, yes.
As well as the listeners, just exactly who you are and what it is you're doing, mate.
I used to be principal solicitor of a small legal firm in the western suburbs of Sydney. We engaged in litigation, principally crime. Most other solicitors tend to do conveyancing, which is buying and selling of real estate and so forth. And as a consequence, because we did litigation, we weren't. And as luck would have it, I was just about to close the office early and give myself an early break for the weekend when a call came through. My secretary...
H-Bird says you have to understand that when that conservatives don't speak English. When they hear the words freedom and liberty and rights, they just hear good, good, good. When they hear words like communist or Marxist or satanic, they hear bad, bad, bad. Fenekagami says, I love being called stupid by people whose arguments are so old and clearly poorly thought out that they are used as critical thinking exercise and instructions for children.
He was speaking to someone else on the other line. I took the call And it was a strange man telling me a strange story about how the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act was invalid and how the Governor-General of Australia wasn't properly appointed and how Queen Elizabeth II was a war criminal, stuff like that. I should have told him to keep taking the medication and I'd give him a call on Monday, but because I was a bit bored, I said, oh, have you got any material you could forward to me? And he sent me 4.5 pages by way of fax. I read that material and I was shocked. I spent the next 6 weeks, every spare moment that I had, trying to prove the material to be incorrect, but everything I found, in fact, confirmed its truth. I got involved with some people who...
That's one of my favorite conspiracy origin stories. You'll hear this a lot from conspiracy theorists. When they'll be like, how did you get into conspiracy theories? And they'll explain something along the lines of, I tried to debunk this one and I couldn't. And it just scares me to think how many people are apparently one thing that they personally can't explain away from jumping off reality and hitching a ride on the crazy train. You know what I mean? They personally couldn't explain something sufficiently themselves and then decided, okay, everything's a lie. Like, no, maybe you just don't have all the answers. You can ask other people, you know. That's fine.
Who were heading an organisation trying to rectify Australia's horrendous constitutional problems. And as a consequence of bringing a number of cases in various courts of Australia, including the High Court of Australia, I lost my...
Can we call that the CC effect? I don't know if he had one... That is a big part of what he does, isn't it? Yeah, fuck it. CC effect.
Practicing certificate, so I could no longer work as a solicitor, and that happened on the 28th of November 2000.
And what have you been doing since being out of the job as a solicitor? Because there's an awful lot of there's an awful lot of work out there for people who have a sharp mind such as yours.
It's very difficult when you've got the Law Society and the New South Wales state government and the Australian government on your back. They really hate the information that I've found and the information that I'm continuing to find about Australia's constitutional problems. So it's not only Australia, it also affects New Zealand and Canada. And it's having...
the whole Commonwealth!
A lot of impact on the world, and therefore it's been very difficult for me.
So specifically, you said that the Australian Constitution is void and the Queen is a war criminal. Could you divulge...
Is the radio broadcaster a conspiracy guy too? I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest, the way he's talking makes it sound like he is aware this is all bullshit and he's just milking this guy for content. Who would do that? Hypocrisy on the bingo card for me.
More into detail about this.
Yeah, sure. Bear in mind, this also applies to New Zealand and Canada, but if your listeners are interested, they'll have to do their own research. But the broad parameters of what I'm saying apply to all of those countries. In 1900, the Parliament at Westminster, the British Parliament, passed into law the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. That act defines the Commonwealth of Australia as a self-governing colony of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Already there's a problem. There hasn't been a United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland since about 1922. It's now the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So the Queen that's mentioned, or the King that's mentioned in Australia's Constitution as sovereign of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland hasn't existed since 1922.
Oh my god, is he literally claiming that because the verbiage is not necessarily up to date, the Constitution doesn't count? That's funny.
That also applies to Canada and New Zealand, so that's a big problem. Second problem, Australia, New Zealand, Canada are defined as colonies of the United Kingdom. If that's the case, and if these Constitution Acts are still valid, how can these countries be members of the General Assembly of the United Nations and have any of the treaties that they've signed, they are now up for grabs because they've been signed by countries that are defined in their constitutions, which is the first document at the top of the pyramid, the first legal document that defines everything else. But
are you aware that you can amend documents?
Those constitutions define those countries as colonies, and colonies cannot be represented in the General Assembly of the United Nations.
They're not colonies anymore. They haven't been for a very long time. America was also a colony of Great Britain. Look what happened there.
Sound all very esoteric, but it's not. The Japanese government has this information. Currently, the Australian government has a case in the International Court of Justice against the Japanese for whaling in Australian Antarctic waters. And the Japanese suddenly have this information and intend to use it to prevent that court case going anywhere, because Australia doesn't have standing.
I hope this guy wins on his Northern Ireland argument.
Bureaucrat Conrad, you are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Finikigami says, can you all not wait until all the people that have spent years saying January 6th was a psyop to start calling the rioters heroes, as Trump keeps calling them such, as all the hopes, as they all hope SCOTUS will overturn their convictions? Remember, January 6th didn't happen, but also everyone involved are heroes. Cognitive dissonance is not a bug for them, it's a feature. It allows them to believe whatever is most advantageous to them gaining power.
Has to be a nation to take a case in the International Court of Justice, and our Constitution defines us as a colony. I'll give you another example. Just from in history, you get unanimous votes. Everybody in your electorate votes you in. And you present an act, a bill of law to the New Zealand Parliament. Let's call it the ABC Act. And everybody in Parliament is so taken aback and amazed by what you've done that
no law is set in stone, not even in the US, for good or evil. I mean, that's the thing with laws. People make them up. Generdy says, apparently I forgot to put the bits on this the first time. The sports ball photo reminded me of my favorite bit of film trivia. The Uruk-hai chanting at Helm's Deep was recorded using the crowd at the New Zealand's cricket match. I wish I was at that match. That would be a nice bit of trivia to tell your friends, oh, I'm in this scene. My voice.
it gets a unanimous vote all through the Parliament. That bill of law cannot become an act of law until it gets the royal signature, the signature of Queen Elizabeth II, who herself, in fact, is appointed by the British Parliament at Westminster. But her signature is given by her vice-regal representative, which is a Governor-General. Now, that Governor-General may have been chosen by the New Zealand Prime Minister or the New Zealand Parliament, but nonetheless they're appointed by a queen, a foreign queen halfway around the world, who herself has been appointed by a foreign parliament. The West.
So that's opposite stuff. More or less. Moving on.
When we think of the world that when we think of cosmology, when we think of the world that we're standing on, this rock, which one is it? You know, the textbooks are telling us that this is an oblate spheroid. Have you read about that? Heard about that?
Flat Earth on the bingo card.
An oblate spheroid. This guy right here says, no, it's pear-shaped. Then, of course, you got NASA pumping out pictures all the time as a perfectly spherical Earth.
It looks perfectly spherical. It's still an oblate spheroid.
And you got the Bible saying, nah, no, you live in a snow globe. So,
one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is a mythological religious text.
Which one is?
It's fine to believe what you want, but don't act like it's scientific. It's the song.
What is it? Why do you believe what you believe?
Genesis poetically describes the firmament, is what he's referring to.
First started looking into this and started talking to other people who had come before me who were doing this research. One of them challenged me. He said, Rob, I understand you're hardcore globe Earth guy. I get it. He said, I challenge you, and I'm going to challenge you with the same thing he challenged me with. Prove it without using NASA or any other space agency, the government or military of any country in the world.
The shape of the Earth was demonstrated thousands of years before that was a thing. You don't have to rely upon NASA or modern technology to do that. It does make it simpler, but if you don't want to do that, you could actually go out and do experiments to demonstrate it. You just choose not to.
Why would I say that? NASA has been proven to be liars time and time again. I could spend a whole weekend here showing you the lies of NASA.
Okay, do that, and I'll explain why you're wrong.
How many of you believe your government is 100% honest and can be trustworthy?
No one believes that. That is such a straw man. No one thinks the government is telling the truth all of the time. It's fucking absurd. Saying that the government hides things or lies sometimes is not the same as making a claim of a specific lie, which is what you are doing, which you need to demonstrate.
Come on. Okay, so you don't, one person suffering from severe cognitive dissonance. Yeah. And how many of you know the military answers to their government? Okay, so if those...
So you aware that there are other space agencies in the world? The European Space Agency, China Space Agency, India has one, Mexico I think has one now.
Sources, space agencies, which are typically military government organizations, governments and the militaries of the world, are all proven liars. Why would you trust them?
Lying about some things doesn't mean you lie about everything.
Fool me once, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I say, continue to believe pathological liars and you're an idiot. But that's what we've all done. And so, I look at these stuff, we've all seen the textbooks, we've all seen the videos and movies and all these things, and there's so much of it. Do you know what the budget NASA has? Do you know how much they...
Lower than the military, by a lot.
They get? How much money they get?
I think the US military gets like 25-ish% of the total budget. NASA gets between 0.5% and 1%, I want to say. It's like a large factor difference. It is very different.
Tens of billions of dollars a year. Have you seen the movie Gravity? Okay. That's made for about $100 million.
Yeah, that's a movie. They weren't trying to go into space. They were trying to make a movie about it. The actors get paid a lot of money on that.
And if you saw the movie Gravity, that was pretty impressive. I saw it on IMAX, big screen, like, what?
I thought it was okay. I never saw it in theater. It didn't come off as real to me. They were impressive effects, but they always came off as just that.
Oh, I mean, I felt like I was with Sandra Bullock flying around in space freaking out myself. Very impressive. Just saw the movie, Passengers, I think it's called.
That movie sucked. Don't waste your time with Passengers. Would not recommend.
Okay, this is what they're able to do with $100 million. What are you able to do with tens of billions of dollars a year since the 60s?
And not a single animator from NASA has ever come out and told you that space is fake.
And why is it that all the astronauts, if not all, most of them, have to be Freemasons?
They don't, dipshit. I hate when they just say the dumbest thing. Like 3 astronauts have been Freemasons, so all of them have to be. What about the ones that demonstrably weren't? There are women astronauts. Women aren't even allowed in Freemasons.
How many of you know secret societies are good at keeping secrets?
They really aren't, though. You know about them. It's not that secret.
Kind of why they say secret society, right? So you have organizations, people say, well, it's too big a conspiracy. There's no way, too big a conspiracy, too big a... No, it isn't. There's supposedly over 7 billion people on the Earth today, right? Look up how many people have allegedly been to space.
Do you know how many people were involved in the missions to send people to space? More than the people who went. Pretty big support staff.
It's about 550 out of 7.
550 is a ginormous number if all of those people have to shut the fuck up about this ginormous, incredible lie every day of the rest of their lives. If you had said 3 people, I'd think that was absurd. 500? You think 500 people are all keeping a secret? Have you met people? Much less 500 of them? The secret was, they made Marcel street fight all 500 astronauts so they'd shut the fuck up. He's a judge. They're fucked. H-Bird says a suspiciously large number of astronauts have come from Ohio. Now that's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy I can get behind.
Billion. Most of those from the United States and Russia. How many think those two countries are very trustworthy? They always tell the truth, right? Their government never lies. My government.
Did this guy die in 2021? His name's Rob Skiba. He might have been the one who died, yeah.
Never lies. And most of the astronauts are military trained. I was in the military. We're trained to keep secrets.
Seems like it.
Right? Yeah. I say don't trust me either. And they're Freemasons. Okay, secret, 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 all over the place. 500-something people. It's not too hard. The mechanic has no idea what the king knows, right? There are people working for these agencies that believe what they're doing is what they're doing. They're making parts. They're going to go on something that's going to get launched up somewhere. That's all they know. There are other people who sit in front of computers that get data coming from somewhere, and they interpret that data. Are they in on the conspiracy?
But you would always need people orchestrating that thing. No matter how many layers you put, you're adding people who have to plan that level of the conspiracy. So the more you're saying people are being fed fake information. Okay, someone has to manufacture the fake information then. You know what I mean? You're just adding the number of people necessary to hide it?
No, they're just doing their job. But I'll tell you, some of these people are starting to question their job. People say, we've all seen the curve. If you ever look out, you ever fly in an airplane, you're an idiot. If you ever flown in an airplane, you've seen the curve.
Benekagami says people really underestimates how much work lying actually is, how hard it is to hide reality, the amount of money, effort, and death you need to keep secrets, especially in the information age. As such, most governments lie for a purpose, so why lie about this? You truthers always trip up on that part. What do they gain from that? They generally say they're trying to hide God, which doesn't make sense because most people in the world are religious, which doesn't necessarily mean they believe in a god, but the biggest religions in the world do believe in a god or gods, so they're doing a pretty bad job.
I've flown in airplanes lots of times. And
I have to be in a Concorde, I think, to get high enough to actually see the curve, but I'm not positive. They don't do Concords anymore. I think they're trying to bring them back, I heard, but...
I would have said before doing this research that I saw the curve too. But you didn't. You thought you did. You convinced yourself that you did. Next time you go up in an airplane, take a camera with you. Make sure you don't have a fisheye lens. Take pictures out your window. Bring it into some kind of software like Photoshop, put a parallel line over it, and you're going to see it's flat as a pancake. I was thinking about something this morning. Let's say this is my field of view right here, okay? And in this field of view, I'm claiming to see a curve of the Earth, right? You with me? Here's my field of view. Here's my curve of the Earth. What happens when I do this? If I do this and I still claim to see a curve of the Earth, I've just created the McDonald's sign. Right? Field of view, curved Earth. Field of view, curved Earth. Curved Earth, McDonald's. We're living in McDonald's. You're not seeing curve. And I'm going to challenge you to start looking for the curve. If you've ever been to the ocean, you've seen the curve. Okay, prove it. If you've ever been to the beach, you've seen ships go over the curve. Okay? Go buy the Nikon Coolpix P900 camera. Has an 83 power optical zoom lens with a digital zoom.
Doesn't understand how cameras work on the bingo card.
That effectively doubles that.
Have I seen any Da Vinci Code adjacent theories in recent times? You'd have to be more specific, like Jesus bloodline conspiracies, ancient religious conspiracies, because the Catholic Church gets brought up a lot in conspiracy theory stuff. They think the Catholic Church is sometimes the ultimate secret power behind things, or at least high up in some sort of power hierarchy.
I'll just say, go have fun.
I've seen that Dillis filler. Thank you for the link.
Go watch ships.
Taste pegs him as a Wish.com Hovend, which is funny because even Hovend was copying someone.
Disappear over the curve.
Benekagami says, but God can do whatever they want. Gods can do whatever they want. So gods can create around Earth and space so that that motive makes no sense. The real answer is I don't feel special if the universe doesn't literally revolve. I don't feel special if the most powerful organization in the world doesn't have to lie to me specifically.
I went to an electronic superstore one day. I had already bought mine, and it took me a long time to get a hold of these cameras because they were always out of stock. And I went to this one superstore, and they were out of stock. And the guy that was there, I was asking him about it. He goes, "Yeah, you know, we can't seem to get them." He said, "I want to check it out too. I've been hearing a lot about this camera." I said, "Yeah, I know why you can't find them anywhere." He goes, "Really?"
Does he think it's because of flat Earth? Oh God.
Why?
The camera he's talking about, the Nikon, sorry, I know some people pronounce it Nikon, I say Nikon. The Nikon P900 or whatever and the P1000, they're some of the most popular, like, DSLR cameras you can go buy. It's not because of flat Earth, they're just a very popular consumer camera.
I said, "Do you know what cognitive dissonance is?"
Oh God.
No? Well, it's when you believe something to be true and then somebody challenges it and you think the other guy's an idiot. Oh, okay. Okay, so with that being said, would you like me to continue? Yeah. Flat earthers are buying them all up. What? I said, cognitive dissonance. Remember that? Because I live right near a place called Lake Louisville that has a good 7-mile stretch that I shouldn't be able to see stuff on the other side that I could see. And I started telling them stuff, and you guys remember the cartoon, The Flintstones?
Yeah, that isn't what cognitive dissonance means.
There's a sound effect. It's like that's the sound you hear when the gerbil jumps off the wheel in somebody's head.
This guy died in 2021. What did he die of? Was it COVID? Or something else?
Hey, check this out. Look at that. You watch the ship go out, and you see it
It was COVID. That tracks.
Disappear from your eye because of perspective and all kinds of other stuff. It looks like it's disappeared. Hey, let's get the camera out. Zoom in. There it is. And if you've been watching my YouTube channel, you've seen a lot of other videos on it as well. So, I mean, as you do this research, what ends up happening is you'll think you come to a solid conclusion. I proved this. All right. But then the yeah, but guy shows up. Well, yeah, but. And whatever his yeah, but is, well, it kind of makes sense.
His intestines rebelled and climbed his spinal column and throttled his brain.
So then you go, well, yeah, but, and you play the yeah, but game for infinity. It never ends. And I just came to the conclusion for myself that, you know what, how long are you going to waver between two opinions? I'm just going to have to make a choice. And it's going to be a choice based on belief. Yes, I have plenty of other proofs and things that I have done that have helped along the way. But for me, it came down to let God be true and every man a liar. I have a belief, but what did we already establish at the beginning of this presentation? Belief is absurd. What you believe, Rob, is stupid. What I believe is right. Okay, what do you believe? You live on McDonald's? Show me the curve. Where's the beef? Show me the curve. Yeah. Okay, Rob, so what? Why is this stuff important? Well, I hear that question a lot. So I came up with about 5 reasons off the top of my head why I think this could be important. Genesis is the foundation of all that we believe in the Bible to be true. If Genesis is wrong, then it all crumbles under a faulty foundation. Genesis says nothing, zip, zero, nada, about the earth being set in motion, orbital or rotational, around the sun. In fact, the sun doesn't even show up until after the earth is already in place with life.
Ancient wisdom on the bingo card for the Bible reference. Fennec Gami says, seriously, that their trying to hide God explanation is annoying. It is philosophically and scientifically impossible to disprove or hide God because deities are defined to exist beyond the realm of human logic. God is unfalsifiable by design, and philosophers agree with that definition. They came up with it. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Already in existence. Genesis says the sun, moon, and stars were placed inside the same firmament within which that earth was formed, not outside of it. Thus, we have a completely enclosed system within which the sun, moon, and stars move, not the earth. Number 2, if what we are seeing concerning the flat enclosed earth thesis is true, then we are all there is. We are center stage. We are the main attraction, and there can be no argument as to whether or not there is a creator. None. His existence could not possibly become more blatantly obvious than in this model. 3, if the flat enclosed earth thesis is true, evolution goes out the window and the theory of
Why? What? That doesn't even make goddamn sense, what he just said.
of ancient aliens, cedars, is obliterated. In this regard, I believe we become painfully
Why would
aware
evolution not exist if the Earth was flat? Those things are completely unrelated and have nothing to do with each other.
of the great
Even if the Earth was flat, like, it wouldn't change our observations of speciation? What the fuck?
and will not be fooled by it. 4. If the flat enclosed Earth thesis is true, then we cannot ever trust NASA or the government about anything, and we will finally be forced to fully trust
I don't
who is
think he
worth.
understands logical sets. Because these don't follow.
As our sole source,
Or at
of
least
truth.
he's not putting enough ifs. Like, I
And
don't know
stop
what he's
trying
doing.
to bend and manipulate it to fit false paradigms. 5. If heliocentricity is false, then Scripture is true. If Scripture is true...
What? If heliocentricity is false, Scripture's true? That doesn't follow even a little bit. Even if the Earth was flat, it wouldn't make the Bible true, specifically by default. That doesn't even make sense.
And can thus be taken literally, why should we not take it just as literal when it describes the earth as fixed, not moving, set on pillars, a foundation of pillars, carved as a circle, with edge borders inside something with 4 corners inside, enclosed under a dome? Something to think about. We'll take a short break, and we'll come back. And when I come back, part 2, we're going to talk about we're going to shift gears a little bit, talk about a seed war, the beast, and a strong delusion. And as we do that, I'll put this image up here, which is from a weather balloon shot up to 100,000 feet with no curvature. See you back in about 10 minutes.
Thanks so much. Benigami says, "Sir, I'm convinced I'm convinced you... If I convinced you to take a puff of your car exhaust and asked you as you were coughing from that, told you why green energy is important, why are we constantly pumping poison into the air we breathe? You would tell me, nuh-uh, there's no danger from cars. That's cognitive dissonance. Well, he's dead now, so don't worry about it." Oh, Romana! How's Romana doing? Oh, hold on.
Her Royal Highness Queen Majesty Highness, Exalted Ruler Queen Romana Dido, Head of State, Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government, National Indigenous Chief, Ruler of all of Sardinia, Queen and President, and Queen of the World. Her Royal Highness Majesty Queen Romana Dido. Very important. In preparation for the Great Reset, 10 Days of Darkness and the imminent EBS, the voice of Queen Romana Dido has been digitally encrypted for reasons of national security.
This is the Queen of Canada lady. At least it's claiming to be. It's an AI voice, so I have no idea if this is actually her channel or just someone pretending.
Cree. Lunar calendar now in effect. April 19, 2024. In the Kingdom of Canada, with regard to the We the People. Forthwith and effective without delay, and immediately, the lunar calendar is in full effect. Today is the 4th day of the month of Sol. April is abolished and unlawful in the Kingdom of Canada. All calendars of the defunct
Did you just say April is illegal?
Corporation of Canada are to be destroyed immediately. Peace and prosperity, or perish. Where we go one we go all WWG1 WGA. And so it is.
Are we gonna arrest April?
Very important, Highness.
Sheesh.
Very important. Bureau of National
I don't
Treasury
even know if
of
this
the
is
Kingdom
actually her, just someone using her images.
February 24. Planted and harvested by...
What in the world? Alright then. Oh, the scary guy's back, and apparently he's some kind of security, so that's good. That's good. That he has authority over other people sometimes.
Evening, folks.
Fill me in car on the bingo card.
Well, I got a few minutes. I just want to talk about, so I put this little clip up by Jim Brewer yesterday, and it's, I still kind of got to get my digs in at all these trolls that have tortured flat earthers for years, and you know, put your big boy panties on. It's not like you haven't made fun of us a time or two, so it's just when I picture these trolls.
Was that uses AI for voices? That was more general text-to-speech. I don't think that was AI.
That impression.
That was old-style text-to-speech.
Is exactly what pops into my mind. It was like the perfect personification of what I imagine these trolls to be. But
yeah, we'll check the port after this.
Just the part where he says, "There is no God. There is no God. God doesn't exist." That's the basis of their teeth gnashing.
What is he talking about?
Temper tantrums. And so it was just funny to me. But you know, so I subscribe to Jim Brewer's channel. You can tell he's awake to a lot of stuff, but as is so often the case, he's getting sucked into this self-worship. You're your own savior. If you just run around saying there's no evil in the world, and just, it's all about your looking inside yourself, and you know, and all these people are the same. It's all the same Babylonian, self-contradictory nonsense. They'll say things like, "Oh, we're in heaven and hell at the same time, and there's no evil in the world." But then in the same podcast we'll say, "Oh, well, yeah, we're in hell. There's hell on earth. Just look at Palestine." Okay, but there's no evil in the world, so they're dropping love bombs on those people. It's just wow.
I have no idea what the fuck he's ranting about.
Kind of, you know, self-worship, egotistical bubble do you...
The person who self-immolated is a conspiracy theorist that thinks both Biden and Trump were working together to create a fascist dystopia. So, like, he's just, like, mentally ill.
Have to be in.
He wasn't strictly a Trump supporter. In fact, quite the opposite. He does not like Trump or Biden. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Say there's no evil in this world. When it's all over YouTube. Look at a true crime channel where people are murdering, slaughtering, desecrating
overthought
their own children. But there's no evil in the world. Just say a bunch of Babylonian nonsense, whimsical spiritual guru shit.
When he says Babylon, by the way, he just means evil. He means evil. He's using Babylonian as a synonym for evil, for corruption, for non-Christianity.
And also, God doesn't have... It's the
source. Oh, and incorrect word etymology is evidence.
Source. It's the source. And, just look inside yourself and you'll find the source. And you can say all this wisdom-filled Babylonian nonsense with no compass, no direction. Just talk about light and being enlightened. Well, there's one true light. His name is Christ Jesus. He has nothing to do with religion. He did not preach religion. He taught people about our Father in heaven.
Sounds religious to me, but okay. I heard of Arthur Hayes. I don't think so.
Has nothing to do with religion.
That is annoying. Look, your religion's your fucking business, but it is a religion. Like, it's a spiritual belief that involves a moral system, an ethical system, as well as a cosmology of the world. That's a religion, my friend. It's fine. Like, that's whatever. Just, like, don't not think it's a religion, because it abso-fucking-lutely is. It's like the definition of a religion. It's the biggest religion in the world you're describing, by the way, claiming it's not a religion. Christianity is the world's largest religion.
However, it does not have to do with self worship either, in my humble opinion. This is why you have to build your house on the rock. Look at Christ as the lighthouse. Flat earthers love to talk about lighthouses prove flat earth. Well,
Willem Dafoe masturbates inside of Jesus Christ.
Think of Christ Jesus as that lighthouse. As you're going through the storm that is the world today. A horrible...
Islam is number 2. Christianity's number 1. Hinduism's number 3.
Chaotic storm of lies, deceit, and
Islam is the fastest growing, other than nuns. Nuns is N-O-N-E, not N-U-N.
Fusion. How are you going to find your way to the shore, to safety? By looking within yourself? What good's that going to do out in the middle of the stormy ocean? Or do you focus on the light, on the shore, and make sure you stay focused on that, and that is what will get you there. But so many of these people want to put themselves as Christ. And so many of them seem to be convinced there's no evil in the world.
What's he talking about? Christian nationalism, basically. He's mocking people who aren't Christian and claiming that they're idiots for trying to come up with some sort of philosophy or beliefs outside of Jesus.
I'll tell you what, I so easily could have gone another path. You put me in a...
You should have. You should probably Booker DeWitt your way into that situation, because holy shit, this life path is not going great. Steve with a Q says, wait, is this guy actually a security guard? That doesn't bode well. He is. He is.
Room with you for 10 minutes. Had I been on that path, I'd show you there was evil in this world. I could easily do it. Fortunately, you don't need me. There's examples all around you. If you're able to have empathy for others and get out of your self-worship bubble and realize, oh, there's plenty of people suffering evil in this world. You know, I've also come to a different perspective on...
I don't understand why he believes that the existence of things that are defined as evil is in some way evidence that Jesus is real and like a savior and a son of God. Seems like a stretch.
All this Civil War and World War III and all this stuff. All the crime that they are allowing to unfold now. It is all geared towards problem, reaction, solution of the technocratic slavery panopticon beast system that they're planning.
Word salad on the bingo card.
I'm putting us all in. And we're way too far along to even reject it at this point. I mean, as a society. So the only thing we can do with that lighthouse of Christ Jesus zoned in as our sole focus is just reject that system until we suffer the first death. You know, so many people want to argue about, is there a rapture? Is there not a rapture? Preterism. Are we in the small season? Are we? You know what? I don't care. Because you know what I believe? No matter where we are in the story, because you'll get, out of 100 different people, you'll get at least 10 different answers of where we are, what's going on, what it really is. Their interpretations of the truth. My sole focus is we're right where we should be. Jesus is in control. He knows exactly where we are.
But what if you're wrong about that? How do you know that your own preconceptions and beliefs about Jesus are correct? Doesn't that concern you?
And how he says it will turn out, how he wants it to turn out, it will turn out. So, I'm not worried about whether there's a rapture or not. Do you even know for sure? You may think so. But do you really know if there is a rapture? Are you going to be part of it? What happens if you're not? Are you going to lose your faith?
I don't know. Housing prices would probably go down.
If you're so convinced I'm going to be part of the rapture and it happens, you don't go, what happens then? So, you know what? I don't care whether I'm here, even if there was a rapture, there wasn't a rapture. Go ahead, put your opinion. I'm not going to argue with you. And you can tell me how wrong I am for not picking
The American Dad Rapture episode is honestly great. The Antichrist is hilarious.
You know what? I'm on side Jesus, and it'll go exactly the way he's planned it to go. That's what I have faith in. So, even if I'm here, I'll still be on Team Jesus. I mean, I'm tired of arguing the semantics of it all. You know, it'll go the way it's supposed to go. It's going pretty ugly. So, I mean, whether you think we're in the small season or not, Satan's got a good grip on this world, and he's running things. That much I can see. And I cannot see, other than strong delusion, people that say there's no evil in this
Would I kill for the golden turd? Who wouldn't?
world. I just
Seems like everyone who comes in contact with it does.
don't get it. Other than they are totally detached from it and think if they just ignore it, it doesn't exist. For everybody else in the world. For the kid getting the crap beat out of him, or murdered by his own parents, or whatever.
Stone Corbell says, this is really weird. He believes he's a Christian now, but he says if the rapture happens and he doesn't get raptured, he'd still believe in it? What would he think that meant? I don't know. I think he's just expressing that no matter what, he trusts in Jesus. I don't know if that's literally true, that he would still remain a believer, but I think it's mostly him trying to illustrate or demonstrate loyalty, more or less.
So it's just
unconditional loyalty.
So many gurus, so many this, and so that's why, yeah. The more and when I first discovered the truth of flat Earth, I was on that same path. We're all electric beings, and all this, wisdom filled. Just creating my own reality and blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here.
If the rapture actually happened, we'd have free healthcare and blanket LGBT rights within a year, and we'd be living in Star Trek within 10 years. You're more optimistic about humanity than I am, but alright.
Because all that is ego. Jesus told us to humble ourselves. We're not that great. If you're believing you can become as gods, you're believing the snake. That has nothing to do with Jesus. People say, well, God doesn't create evil, so there's no evil. God didn't create evil. The ego of the fallen created evil. And
I don't think that's a good solution to the problem of evil. Because then why doesn't God stop that? If he had the capability of doing so and chose not to, then he is exercising power to allow evil to exist. Toreador says, I love it. Creating my own reality. Am I Mr. sitting in his reality based on a book? Gitara says, hey Hannah, have you seen that guy on Twitter promoting an AI girlfriend sex toy while sounding like one of those red pill, black pill guys? It's incredibly misogynistic and cringe, might be worth a look on a Chud watch. I'll check it out. Honestly, if anything, fuck it. If those people want to remove themselves from the dating pool, I think everyone would benefit. Fenekagami says, for the love of Paul, loyalty narratives have fucked so many people's brains, haven't they? Oh yeah.
they came down and corrupted us with that same
filming in car
ego. So no, God didn't create ego. The jealousy of the watchers.
If they were capable of experiencing that, though, then that would mean that that's something that God intentionally designed and therefore would be his responsibility. Nothing is not your fault if you are ultimately powerful and all-knowing. Literally nothing happens without your consent, so everything is ultimately your fault. You can't be ultimately powerful and all-knowing and pass the buck. You're it. You're the reason everything happens. Doesn't really make sense. Lennon Cat says there was a Native American prophet who foresaw the rapture, except the indigenous rapture is all the white people get raptured and native people get their land back. That'd be nice.
Created that evil. Their egos, their pride. Exactly what Jesus warned us and taught against. So
maybe he's all-knowing and all-powerful, but is just lazy. But is laziness a defect upon the definition of power? Can one truly have ultimate power without the will to exercise it? This is what I imagine actual philosophers sit around and do all day. Just masturbate verbally.
People like Jim Brewer and that, awakening to all this stuff there. Hip to the Illuminati, and surely someone will come and say, "Oh, he's part of the club." I think he's genuinely being deceived by. The video I watched was this guy Truth Test 777 or something, and within the first 5 minutes he mentioned Santos Bonacci. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I wanted to go to the guy's channel and be like, you know what, I could have been you, literally. When I first started talking about flat Earth, especially when I was down in Texas, right after we moved to Texas, Santos Bonacci and his little minions were on my nutsack so fucking hard. It was annoying, quite honestly. Constantly emailing me and messaging me and private messaging me on YouTube. Oh, Santos wants to talk to you. To the point I got, well, who the fuck are you? Why doesn't this Santos come talk to me himself? Why doesn't he leave a comment? Who the fuck does this guy think he is? Sending all his little minions and blah, blah, blah. Well, because
Toreador says, oh, Hannah, the Utah Nebo School furry walkout that Libs of TikTok put a bullseye on. That's a sentence. I got into a Utah furry channel to interview them and find out more. It's half hilarious and half scary, and hell. At least their, politicians are standing up for them, and the schools are being serious in addressing the claims of harassment and litter boxes and full costumes in school, despite how absolutely moronic grifters, even the local news is spreading it's a grift. That's funny.
He thinks he's fucking the shit. He's too busy over in the corner stroking his own ego. Because he's not...
That was a tiny motion. His muscle memory's really going to work there, huh?
Humble.
Not a very long...
He thinks he has all the answers. He doesn't need Jesus. Well, I pray sometime you find out the Babylonian bullshit that is Santos. And now those Jim Brewer and others getting sucked into that trap.
Any Raging Rob update? No, not lately.
Jim, don't listen to Santos Bonacci or Truth Test 777, and damn sure don't listen to me. But I definitely suggest get in that Bible, cut out all the other noise, get a red letter Bible, and just listen to Jesus. Once again, find the...
How do you know that those are things an actual Jesus said and not just something someone wrote down? It's funny how they never actually think about the fact that at some point you are always depending on your own judgment to make a decision, including the decision to believe that the Bible is accurate and the words of Jesus. That's a determination you are making. No one else is making that determination. So ultimately the decision is still on you. Kagami says, Christians believing they're the source of morality is interesting, given the fact that based on Christian doctrine, no Christian can truly be moral and altruistic because they're pursuing heaven as a reward. They both believe in God and do good things for this reward. Also, their time on Earth means nothing compared to heaven. Technically, according to their beliefs, they believe they are playing D&D for all intents and purposes, and they think they're the source of all morality. I wouldn't take this guy's theological beliefs to be the same as the majority of Christians. This guy's an interesting one.
Fault in him, in his teachings, and get back to me.
Does the Babylonian stuff count as the U.S. as the new Babylon on the bingo card? Yes.
Please explain to me.
What if Satan convinced early Christians he was God? They never consider the possibility. The Gnostics have entered the chat.
But he taught that was so horrible that you got to take over and put yourself in his place. Because to this day, I swear I don't understand it. That's all I got. Y'all have a good one.
He's doing great. 50 bits. I may have missed the stream if you covered it already, but have you seen that Danzy made a song for Kevin Logan? Someone from Kevin's chat made a song request of Danzy's to make Kevin feel better about his cat Rory that died a few months ago. She misgendered the cat and punctured our ears. Oh, was that what that video was? Oh, I didn't know that was. I didn't know that was done for Kevin Logan. That's pretty good.
Pondered the
Let's look at the bingo card. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. Satanic. Incorrect word origin is evidence. Idiot says they're a genius. Word salad. Accidentally based. Hannah mentions cheese. Doesn't understand how cameras work. Recording in car. Ancient wisdom. Hydrate. I am drinking the water. Slurp, slurp. There, you heard the water noise. That's how you know it's real. And flat earth, of course. Rickham, thanks for a 15-stream streak. Did I see they were calling all Cybertrucks? Oh, it's for the pedal thing! I saw someone's pedal thing came off. That's hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but like, holy shit. What an incompetent company and a terrible vehicle design.
Truth Anchor back again. Let's do a little quick update on the prophetic stuff and the conspiracy theory stuff about what's probably going to happen around the corner. Early in the year, around January, I made some predictions for the year, and I predicted around summertime there was going to be more and more infrastructure attacks. Grid stuff, could be even water related, but I also said telecom and internet communications. That certainly is a good possibility. Well, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I'd be surprised if it did. It looks like I'll be off on that. Which means it looks like it's more definite for next year based on some other timeline things. But the mouth of Sauron is doing a little predictive programming to say if things go down, go ahead and blame a solar eruption. Now it looks like they started talking about this. If you just type in solar flares, Fox News, which is the conservative side of the mainstream media, supposed conservative side, controlled opposition, and all that.
Controlled opposition on the bingo card.
I do want to mention, these people aren't talking about the natural manifesto.
They use soap as a lube to attach the pedal? Oh boy!
That got leaked.
I don't understand. I'm shocked that they attached the pedal in that way at all, and it wasn't like a weld. Like, they literally just, like, adhered the pedal. Like, that's such a stupid decision.
Steven Crowder leaked it. Fox News, crickets. Of course, the liberal mainstream news networks where it's all hate white people, Christians all the time. Of course.
Have you ever watched news in your life? What in the world?
Crickets. But they are all...
Just turn on CNN. Hello? This is CNN. Fuck Christians. More at 11. Bob? Like, what do they think newscasts are?
Talking about if the internet, if the communication goes out for 2 weeks, just go ahead and blame a solar flare. Go ahead and blame that. So it looks like this is on the back burner. This is something they're going to eventually do. Now, is there anything else? Oh, yeah, it looks like they also did a beta test in Australia. I think millions of customers lost telecommunications for like 9 hours. More than 10 million Australians, 40% of the population, were hit with a 12-hour network blackout at the nation's #2 teleco firm. So it's probably just someone flipping a switch. Again, with these beta tests, no one ever goes to jail. No one ever gets held responsible. There's not infrastructure.
Again, an accident must be planned. Silly. Benigami says, admittedly, my previous comment applies to fundamentalist doctrine. I'm fully aware that Christian belief is far more varied and nuanced than that. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law subscribes more to fundamentalism, and as much as I have to deal with crap like that more than I'd like, especially because she's been flirting with conspiracy rabbit holes. Oof. Careful. That's not fun. Yeah, here's the TikTok about the guy's pedal.
So apparently the Cybertruck has a stop sign, and I might know why. It's got something to do with the accelerator pedal. So let me show you something interesting about my Cybertruck. Is that pedal looks different, right? It's missing this. So a couple days ago I'm driving, and let me see if I can get a good view here. I'm driving and this goes here. As I'm driving, this slid up and wedged itself just like that. Right now it's not clipped on, so it's kind of hard to see, but this wedged itself right there. And as you can see, based on the design of the floorboard, this sliding up, and the way this was still hooked onto the pedal, it held the accelerator down 100% at full throttle. Now, I was luckily had a clear mind, didn't panic.
Now that's a design flaw.
And holding the brake down overrides the pedal. So I was able to stop the car, but anytime I lift the brake, it would start accelerating again. So I stopped the car, put it in park, got out. At first I thought the pedal was broken, but then I realized that nope, this was wedged.
That is broken. The pedal is broken.
Here.
The pedal is broken. That is what happened.
This little section here, not allowing this pedal to come back up. So yeah, looks like there's a recall or some kind of stop cell for that. Somebody that panics, that could be pretty dangerous.
I feel like you're maybe underselling the murder machine that you've purchased, but you know, that's you.
Upgrades to make it less susceptible. It's just a beta test to see how much damage we can do, how people respond. Will any whistleblowers expose us? So make no mistake about it, folks. You will one day, if you live to see it, see a shutdown of the grid. And they may blame Russians or Chinese people, and may or may not be involved, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they will consolidate power. You will have less freedom, and there will be a mass purge in some way or form. Got to get that, was it 500 million on Georgia Guidestones #1. That's their world population goal. That's their mass murder.
Georgia Guidestones were not put up by the government. They were put up by a conspiracy theorist.
Agenda that they're putting in granite before they blew it up. But I think the plan...
Or they blew it up. Not only did they erect it, they blew it up.
Still there. So
both were conspiracy theorists. Private individuals.
Anyway, I want to talk about this weird, bizarre behavior. If you can see this woman, she's not a girl. This adult woman any other point in history, she would be having kids, she would be nursing a child, birthing a child, changing a diaper. But no.
Sir, are you familiar with wet nurses?
She is an adult woman's body in Disneyland World, wherever it is, and she is acting like a child. So that is interesting, and we're going to talk about the psychology of that. It also gets weird because there's these young women, they have sexual desires. They don't have, a lot of them sadly do not have modesty.
Fucking what are you talking about? I'm pretty sure this is literally a picture from a porn. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And they're mixing up their little girl childhood stuff with their weird sexual desires.
Again, I'm pretty sure this is from a pornography, which was probably made for the male gaze. Like, what are you talking about? Is he looking at this and thinking this is a typical, like, woman's fantasy? Probably not Disney princess. I've certainly seen things where people have expressed, like, being worshipped and, like, being regal, but not, like, cartoon Disney princess, usually. What are you talking about?
So what is that? That is probably a gateway to molestation or, like, a weird hiccup of the mind. And look, these are 3 young women decided to go act like they're 7-year-old girls to Disney World.
You can enjoy Disney and not be a child. Like, people overdo it with the Disney adult stuff sometimes. Like, you can overdo anything. Believe me, I know. What are you talking about? Let people like things. It's fine.
It's fascinating. All right, let's look at some more. Again, why in the world do you want to dress like a little kid character and like a streetwalker?
Again, I'm pretty sure this is an adult film. Adults literally are not allowed to wear costumes in the park. The only people who are allowed to wear costumes in the park are children and the people who work for Disney. They're very strict about that rule. So he's literally, I think, Googled pictures of adult women in Disney princess stuff and thinks they're from the park when this is, like, not that. Fennikagami says, think that if we win enough in 2024, we may work to restore regulations to New Deal tier. Between Tesla and Boeing, there's increasing pressure to crack down on companies and lessen our government's reliance on private contractors. One would hope. M. Scheffler, thanks for a 3-stream streak, says, can I get a personal phone call when the stream starts so I don't miss any? Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Simultaneously, truly bizarro world stuff. And then that poor woman, she looks like she's going for a mammogram. It's ridiculous.
Again, these are from a pornography. Sir, you're watching a pornography.
And that haughty look right there, like, why are you dressing up?
That just looks cute. Like, that doesn't read overtly sexual to me in any way. This is just, like, kind of a cute costume you might wear to a costume party or something. That's weird that he's looking at this and being like, you slut! Like, this is, like, it's just a cute dress. This is not, like, overtly sexual in any way. I'm confused.
Like a little girl character, and you're looking at someone like you're looking at your husband on your honeymoon.
What the fuck?
And then another thing is very bizarre. Treating your pets like they are children. I guess if the Illuminati, international bankers...
Thinly veiled anti-Semitism on the bingo card and Illuminati on the bingo card.
Jewish mafia.
Oh, never mind. Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card. Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card.
White liberal, guilty, self-hating people convince you to not have kids. Well, you're still going to have the desire to have kids. So you're probably going to turn...
Sir, people are broke as shit. Like, first of all, people don't have to have kids if they don't want to. Second of all, even if they do, if they have pets instead because they can't afford kids right now, it's none of your goddamn business. What are you talking about?
Your animal into a kid is absolutely bizarro world. These women should be making children. They should be making...
Ew. This guy legit is the stereotype of, like, the Christian nationalist that thinks women exist only to create white children. Ew.
Sticking with their race and making children for their cause to get the white population. Which
he's literally saying all of it out loud. He is not embarrassed a lick about this. Jesus Christ.
Incredibly oppressed minority all around the world. I think it's like 6% of the world population, and for whatever reason, the Jews are setting up an apartheid supremacy.
Well, that's enough of that. Jesus fucking Christ, my guy. That's just Nazism.
What do we do about the state of the world? Perhaps it always seems like it's falling apart. With the
permission to throw hands, Captain. Permission granted.
Research we do, we discover that it fell apart long ago. They want to teach us that everything is progressing, but a quick study shows that things have only gone backwards. I am truly a conservative. I despise the socialistic agenda in the past and present, though I do think we should work together as sovereign individuals. I don't blame those in power for the recent control grab. I think with the death of the Queen, there's a shift taking place, a new order, and this new group is not wasting any time rolling out their agendas. What the past
No, that was on BitChute, the last video. You can't really report it. They're openly okay with that shit.
In the last few years have shown us is that all nations, all leaders are actually following the same playbook. Doesn't matter what their political standing. Free elections seem to be a thing of the past, and many nations don't even get the illusion. You're just stuck with your leader. And again, I don't blame them. It is perhaps their karma, and these people will simply play their role.
Poor understanding of Eastern religion for that karma comment.
And as for me, I ask the same, that I'm left to play my role. I know I was born with God-given rights, and I will exercise those until my death. I thank you for being here, and welcome. So today I've compiled a list. It's not a complete list, but it's a snapshot of this research. The research into the old world and our true...
Parteria on the bingo card. Neil Breen, is that you? No. Too consistent. Not enough B-roll.
So it's not an order, as that's one of the most difficult things to make sense of. The chronology. But for many, this research begins with the World's Fair.
Benigami says, remember everyone, people like this don't fear other... Oh. I don't even want to read that.
All of the
I know what you're saying, but I don't want to verbally read that.
World's Fairs. There were hundreds of them, and it's a great place to start. Going back to the mid-1800s, almost every major city in the world hosts some sort of fair. We're told these fairs took a year or two to build, that they were temporary, and eventually destroyed. Hundreds of buildings at each fair, and as little as just one or two remain. We have them in St. Louis, Chicago, San Francisco, even in the Midwest. And it's one thing if they all looked different, or even looked like fairs, but what they look like is elegant cities with
They're intentionally trying to look like neoclassical architecture, correct?
waterways, and absolutely overbuilt for the population.
No, we didn't watch this. We watched another video by... I don't know if it's the same person, but it's just they talk about the same stuff a lot.
And budget of the time. When we study these buildings, we see that they're anything but temporary. The same.
What do you
design
mean? They were. We know they were. What do you mean?
we see anywhere in the world. And it is a complete untruth to say that a 4, 5, 6-story building is temporary. A building.
Fucking what do you mean? You think you can't build a multi-story building that's temporary? Yes, you can. You easily can.
Must be structurally sound to stand. And this 100% means it is not temporary. So again, if the World's Fair in Chicago...
They weren't meant to stay up for a week. They stayed up for like a year.
...resembles the World's Fair in Brazil, we must be dealing with something other than a fair.
Oh
all
my
the same
God.
time period, all brought down.
Pinakagami says Bits to apologize for not thinking through that last Bits message. It's fine. I get what you're saying. I don't disagree. I just feel gross reading it aloud.
Essentially demolished. And this seems to mark a beginning point. So the beginning point, we often call this the reset. What we see is fully built out cities, built of brick, stone, intricate metalwork, and empty streets. Streets of mud, oftentimes brick poking up through the mud, and we see
That's not brick poking up through the mud, that's rubble. What you're seeing there is rubble from buildings that have exploded on the dirt road.
horse and wagons. Very few. Now it's the same thing in every city. The first pictures show completely built out cities with no people, as if somebody is documenting.
There's literally people in the image you're showing, to be clear. But also, cameras back then, if you didn't stay in the same place for a long time, the camera wouldn't get you.
One of my favorite things to do over and over on this channel is to read the stories of these towns and cities and buildings, hoping for a logical
He could do like a Sleepy Time story channel and he'd probably be killing it.
explanation. And what we find is hastily written historical accounts of the beginning, making no sense. With the tools and tech available of the times, there's no way these cities should go up so fast with so little people and such little technology at their disposal. Power not coming around until the late 1800s.
Yeah, I mentioned that, Paul the Potato.
World's Fair in Chicago, we're told. It is introduced, and logically this is when we should start seeing improvements in the building style, and for the most part, the most beautiful city layouts and architecture have all been created before this introduction of power. I typically focus on...
he has a preference for this kind of architecture, and therefore he believes that modern minimalistic architectural styles are inferior, when in reality, technically speaking, modern architecture is a feat, but it's not as visually interesting to him. Therefore, he thinks that it's less impressive, technically, which is incorrect.
North America, because it's A, where I live, and B, one of the youngest nations, we are told. But the same thing can be done anywhere in the world. People often dismiss Europe and say, well, it's very old. But it's no different in Europe. Same predicament. How are they building all of these cities without power, modern tools, and technology? When photography does finally get reintroduced, in my opinion, this is the kind of scene that we have. Again, a city, cathedrals, spires, and a complete mess. Every city having problems with sewage. Doesn't make any sense that you would have a whole city and still be using outhouses.
What do you mean? Do you think the sewer just naturally fucking grows if with enough people show up? No, it takes time, money, lots of labor and materials to build out a sewer system. Good God. Yeah, this is great reset stuff.
Unless you're just moving into this city in ruins. The ruins that we do see, we generically call the mud flood. I mean, it's mud and ruins everywhere, not looking like normal living. Giant walls and castles, domes, gold, metal, tech, and then mud everywhere. Horse and wagon people building little wooden ramps everywhere.
Horse and wagon people, so derisive of people from the past. Sickens me.
Wooden sidewalks, wooden shacks when they do build something. Surrounded by this, more specifically, the mud flood is talking about all the debris that has buried the buildings. Here, for example, we can see the door.
Oh my god, you're right. He thinks you need to build the sewer first, doesn't he? Because it's at the bottom.
To this church, and the door is halfway up. I mean, are you really building this much footer? Half of the building? Or has this been repurposed to accommodate this cataclysmic event?
Sir, are you familiar with stairs or foundations?
Modern times, they are constantly discovering buildings underground. Not archaeologists, just construction workers.
Yeah, a lot of cities around the world, at least in the United States, it's happened several times where there's been like a fire or an earthquake or something, and they just build the city like a layer up on top of the other stuff. That's why in Futurama, the joke about New York, and if they go in the sewers, old New York is down there. That's a joke about how that's happened several times, like in America throughout history. That's why that's a joke. Hydrate. Will do.
Putting in utilities in city centers.
Cat makes a cameo on the bingo card.
And discovering a whole realm of brick below our feet. This is the mud flood. What else are you going to call it? Oftentimes people ask me, what do you think the mud flood is? And I think that it's a byproduct of not only water creating a flood, a jolting of the fishbowl, but also some great electrical discharges that essentially cooked this realm, and all living creatures returned their waters back to the earth. All the trees, giant trees, all the creatures turning to water.
Giant trees on the bingo card, or that rock mountain, whatever was a tree.
Buildings buried. And of course I don't know, but it seems pretty plausible. We may have some clue of this event in our mainstream history. Just like every major city has a World's Fair, every city has not only one, but several great fires.
Gee, I wonder why historically many large cities have had fires in eras before electricity was common, electric lights were widely available, and everyone was using oil lamps constantly in their wooden homes. Boy, I wonder why there's so many fires. No, we've not had transvestigation.
Great fires, all around the same time period, or at least at the beginning of the construction of most of these cities. In the case with San Francisco, it burnt down 6 or 7 times before the Great Fire of 1906. And I think a grain of truth has been applied to even our modern history. But rather than all of these fires being isolated, we zoom the camera lens out and see the bigger picture. In this early time period, every city and often town is burning. And that leads us into the construction timelines. Back in this time...
Let me take a look, Marcus Drake. Boop, 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 boop. You win, Marcus Drake. You win bingo. Congrats. Doot, 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 doot. Do. Marcus Drake is the bingo winner for today. Congrats, you win.
Period with no power and a very small population, apparently you could build entire buildings in 1 year. Buildings were burning down.
Did I find someone less charismatic than Hans? Carefully. And everyone says they're boring, so now that's the end of that video. Because that's the feedback I received.
You can't handle the truth. I told you, man. I told you. Don't fuck with me.
Incredibly loud, holy shit.
I'm not here to flatter you, I'm here to save you.
Final column along with it excels.
In detail in the Atlantis is known as an advanced civilization that existed in the distant past. Plato described Atlantis in detail in the Critias and the Timaeus. In Plato's accounts, the Greek god Poseidon reigned over Atlantis. It's said that the Sumerian god Enki intervened in the evolution of humanity and created an advanced civilization that was destroyed. Enki then helped in renewing civilization. Enki is the equivalent of Satan.
Izzy? Are you doing a syncretism?
Enlil, a different entity, created Eden, what we now call the Garden of Eden.
Oh boy. Fenny Kagami says, "Hey bud, go into the sewers to the subterranean shunning grounds. If you go deep enough, I promise there's really cool fire down there. Just ignore all the screaming corpses."
And Enki was who we now call the serpent. Enki is often depicted with a serpent surrounding him. Enki is where we get the word Loki from.
What?
Who was a horned god and the Norse equivalent of Satan. So somewhere...
The Norse equivalent of Satan. No, he's not. This is annoying syncretism. This is bad syncretism.
In mythology, Enki's title changed to Ea, which translates to house in water or dwells in water. Enki thus became Ea, the lord of the seas. Poseidon and Enki are the same being, just in separate mythologies. Some scholars associate Enki or Ea with Neptune, and the Roman equivalent of Poseidon is Neptune. So Poseidon or Enki, whatever you want to call the entity, reigned over Atlantis according to Plato. The horns were a symbol of wisdom, but also of rulership. This is why shamans, priests, and kings adopted the convention of wearing horns.
Crowns aren't horns. Crowns aren't horns.
Which we now call crowns. This was to indicate that they were descendants of the Atlanteans who were endowed with power. Enki has horns, Loki has horns, Poseidon has a crown, and as you can see, Poseidon has a pitchfork and a tail.
The trident, not a pitchfork.
Over time, this was converted into the Christian Satan. Just wanted to clear up that they are the same entity.
They are absolutely not the same entity.
Plato says, "I have before remarked in speaking of the allotments of the gods, that they distributed the whole earth into portions differing in extent, and made for themselves temples and instituted sacrifices. And Poseidon, receiving for his lot the island of Atlantis, begat children by a mortal woman. Atlantis was said to be destroyed by a flood. We won't really explore that topic in this video, but I'll say the city of Enoch was also destroyed by a flood. They're the same city. In the book of Enoch, it talks about watchers corrupting mankind. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, 'Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children.' With both of these texts, we can piece together a rough history. Those posing as our divine rulers had their genes somehow intertwined with our own.
That's what you got from that?
Maybe through intercourse, maybe through direct genetic manipulation. And this was the beginning of the entire imprisoning matrix.
If you posted in the tinfoil suggestions channel on Discord, it would be the best, Dr. Darlin Lamb Chop.
When Plato says the gods made for themselves temples and instituted sacrifices, this tells me that this was the first time worship became a thing. The gods made for themselves temples. We had nothing to do with it.
He is really taking the writings of Plato as if they are literal, objective like, histories. That's fucking incredible.
Probably
wow.
Deceived into the pattern of worship. Sacrifice became instituted. As we know, worshipping anything other than our own divine energy and the energy around us is satanic. And once we obfuscate our divine energy towards other entities, fucked up things start to happen. Frederick Oliver wrote in the book A Dweller on Two Planets, an account of Atlantis. Human sacrifices became common. Lust, gluttony, and drunkenness ran riot, and the moral night's deep darkness closed in yet more blackly. Think of Plato's account. Human sacrifice, our blood, which is magical, started powering evil acts, and slowly but surely we became something we weren't. Plato wrote, they despised everything but virtue, caring little for their present state of life and thinking lightly of the possession of gold and other property, which seemed only a burden to them. Neither were they intoxicated by luxury, nor did wealth deprive them of their self-control. But they were sober, and saw clearly that all these goods are increased by virtue and friendship with one another, whereas by too great regard and respect for them, they are lost and friendship with them. By such reflections and by the continuance in them of a divine nature, the qualities which we have described grew and increased among them. But when the divine portion began to fade and became diluted too often and too much with the mortal admixture, and the human nature got the upper hand, they then became unable to bear this fortune. Currently, we're trapped in an unnatural cycle of reincarnation and...
Oh my god, they're recycling the bones!
Rebirth. And this is due to the fact that our souls have been hijacked.
Can I just say that this is an objectively hilarious graphic? Like, I just want a shirt that has this on it, and I want everyone to ask me what the fuck it means. Someone should start a band, and this should be your band's logo. You shouldn't have a name. Your band should not have a name. It should just have this logo.
Taken to a place that isn't where we should be. We, as divine souls, were somehow lured from the underbelly of our earth, the land of perpetual twilight, and into Atlantis and Lemuria, which is a place I won't get into in this video. Or we were simply curious. There's really no way to know. So originally, the material possessions of Atlantis had no power over us. Those who told us they were our gods tried to lure us into the trap of materiality. And over time...
These are pictures of El Dorado. Not Atlantis.
It worked.
Get your mythical cities correct.
And we started forgetting who we are. Those posing themselves as our divine rulers were actually reptilian beings influenced by the archons.
Reptilian's on the bingo card. Also, why is he using clip art of a virus? Okay.
At first, we as reptilian hybrids retained a certain holiness of the mind and heart.
Oh, he thinks that reptilian lizard brain literally means reptilian lizard brain. Huh.
But over time,
recycling woke.
Time this divine element became weakened.
Are the reptilians going woke?
Our reptilian traits became dominant. Power and greed among us were born. I want to quickly mention that it's a common idea that humans are naturally greedy. What I'm saying is we were lured to the side of the flat plane and over time were coaxed into this pattern, and with our reptilian genes, this made it even worse.
He's trying to other humans' propensity for evil. He's trying to take negative human qualities and say, no, that's not us. That's something that was put in us to corrupt us. We aren't complicated living beings that can be selfish and hurtful to each other. That was put on us.
In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, it's clear that beings crept into this place and began to take over. In the form of man, they amongst us, but only to sight were they as our men. Serpent-headed when the glamour was lifted, but appearing to man as men among men. Crept they into the councils, taking form that were like unto men, slaying by their arts the chiefs of the kingdoms, taking their form and ruling over man. This is obviously talking about reptilian shapeshifters. After this reptilian...
Is it obvious? Ooh. Starlight, thanks for a 7-stream streak.
...made hybridized race achieved a high degree of civilization, it began to degenerate because of a dilution of divine essence. Again, Enki or...
A dilution of divine essence.
Poseidon is said to have created this advanced civilization that was destroyed.
This just sounds like eugenics with extra steps.
And then assisted in renewing civilization. We were tricked with reptilian genes, worship of gods, and materiality, and this paved the way so future generations could now be controlled by those who set themselves up as our rulers. The Atlantis cross is an emblem used by several esoteric groups throughout history. The cross's design is based on Plato's description of the Atlantean capital city. In the innermost ring of the capital of Atlantis was a sacred mountain where the original race of Atlantis is said to arose. We know that Mount Meru is at the center of our plane and is considered a sacred mountain. Atlantis was situated here. So the original race came from the sacred mountain. This tells me on the other side we somehow entered a vortex and popped up through it. Plato himself said Atlantis was encased in 3 concentric rings of land divided by water. The symbol shows this, and so do many depictions of Mount Meru.
So any depictions of 3 concentric circles you believe is a reference to Atlantis?
Consists of a cross within a circle embedded. In the book The Magdalene Legacy, a cross within a circle is called a Rosicrucis, and is the original symbol for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is the chalice Jesus drank from during the Last Supper. Jesus is an allegory for the movement of our sun. The Last Supper...
What? Jesus is an allegory for our sun's movement? That's a new one for me.
...occurs during the winter solstice. The sun moves into the center hole briefly during the solstice and, quote, drinks from the Holy Grail. Grail comes from the word cratalis, which
the sun drinks
in Latin means crater. So the Holy Grail isn't merely an object, but a crater that when we enter through, we achieve everlasting life and abundant happiness. Back to the symbol. The concentric rings represent a vortex. The rings are a 2-dimensional expression of a 3-dimensional experience, that of traveling through a stargate. So the Atlantean symbol might not only mean concentric rings of land, but an actual stargate into another reality. As mentioned, the symbol of Atlantis is derived from the description of the enclosure constructed by the gods to protect the original sacred hill of Atlantis.
Jesus Christ. Behold Atlantis. Not enough circles. Needs one more.
Plato says that the gods built this enclosure to keep humans out.
Yeah, here's a link.
We could draw parallels to the Garden of Eden. A flaming sword was placed at the gate and turned every which way to guard the way to the Tree of Life. As I explored in my last video, the Tree of Life is the same thing as Mount Meru at the center of our plane. Mountains are giant tree stumps, so the Tree of Life was cut down and is now Mount Meru. This is an Asian depiction of Mount Meru. You see the concentric rings. This one shows an hourglass.
Generty says, fun fact, the Holy Grail wasn't mentioned till medieval French writers needed a reason for knights to get off their butts and do shit. 900 years after, it supposedly definitely existed.
And is strikingly similar to what NASA tells us a wormhole looks like, suggesting what I'm saying. Mount Meru is a gateway to another world. Some say Mount Meru was the model for the Tower of Babel. The tower is usually made out in a spiral shape, kind of strange for a tower. And the Lord said, indeed,
these are fictional depictions of a thing that didn't happen. You can draw whatever you want.
People are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down, and they confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. This tells me that one of the final ways of corrupting this once pure population was by getting rid of telepathy, the one language we all had. Nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them, because telepathy doesn't lie. Language was invented, spellcasting or spelling began being taught to everyone, and fast forward to now, most of us have no idea that we even have telepathic abilities.
This is a lot. This one's a lot. This one's giving me a headache. Ah! Ugh. I didn't know I had telepathic abilities. That's pretty good to know.
The Tower of Babel could mean that everyone was working together in harmony because of our one language, our telepathic powers, and this was against the plan of our reptilian slave masters. The Sumerians depicted this Stargate as an 8-pointed star.
Is that what the Sumerians were trying to depict? Was a Stargate?
The Dharma wheel has 8 lines emanating from it as well, and is said to represent nirvana. We achieve nirvana when we exit this matrix through the vortex at the center. I can't pinpoint where this one comes from, so I'd love some input, but need I say more? This is a 2nd century Chinese drawing of Mount Meru. Now look at this diagram of a cyclotron, a type of particle accelerator. They look very similar. In the art of Tantra, we see a drawing titled Rose Apple Land. Perhaps these lines are natural force fields that are protecting Mount Meru. And perhaps our particle accelerators were made in mind with the natural one by Mount Meru.
I don't think so. I think if you said that to a particle physicist, they'd throw up.
Most of these things we won't know until we actually take the voyage and see for ourselves. At the center of our plane is the way out of this matrix. Below us is the destination, the land of perpetual twilight, powered by the black sun, where we will know...
It's a pretty dope cosmology if you want a free D&D idea.
No longer be encased in a world full of deception and confining constructs.
It's the Underdark.
Check out my other videos for more info. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you all.
Wow, that was a lot, wasn't it? Sheesh.
Implications of cloning. Have you ever pondered the implications of cloning a historical figure, or even a religious or spiritual one?
No, not even a little. Cloning on the bingo card. Hydrate. Can do.
Let's dive into the intriguing concept of cloning Jesus Christ.
That seems a little sacrilegious. But what do I know? I'm an atheist.
Our journey begins in the 14th century with the discovery of the Shroud of Turin. This mysterious piece of...
For those who don't know, the Shroud of Turin is a known hoax. Like, I'm not even saying this about, like, your religion if you're Christian. Like, you can believe the Jesus stuff. I don't think it's true. But the Shroud of Turin, regardless of whether or not you think Jesus was a real guy that was crucified and if he was the Son of God, the Shroud of Turin is fake. It was a hoax from, like, the Middle Ages. It is demonstrably a fake. So no, even if Jesus was a real guy, we do not have DNA of Jesus.
Cloth, revered by many as the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, has been the subject of...
There were like 10 shrouds a couple hundred years ago. Yeah. There's all sorts of, like, holy relics and stuff that are fakes. The Middle Ages were full of people claiming that they had the bones of a saint or the shroud of some martyr. Lots of fake religious artifacts were, like, a known scam at the time.
Countless debates and controversies. Its authenticity has been questioned time and again, with some asserting it's a divine relic and others dismissing it as a clever medieval forgery. Fast forward to the 20th century and the shroud continues to intrigue us. This time, it's not theologians, but scientists who are fascinated. They conducted a series of scientific studies to determine the origin of the haunting image on the shroud. The results? Well, they're as enigmatic as the shroud itself. So, the Shroud of Turin, whether a divine relic or a medieval
of
forgery...
the cross would be enough to build another enormous cross in Alabama. That was a pretty common one. People claiming to have pieces of the crucifixion cross. Well. Could build 7 Moseses out of all the Moses bones we've collected over the years.
...has sparked the curiosity of scientists and theologians alike, leading us to the next part of our story. From Dolly the sheep to potentially Jesus Christ, the science of cloning has come a long way. Cloning might sound like science fiction, but it's quite real. It all starts with a single cell taken from the organism to be cloned. This cell's nucleus, containing the DNA, is then inserted into a donor egg cell that has had its own nucleus removed. The result is a cell that can develop into an exact genetic copy of the original organism. The successful cloning of Dolly the sheep in 1996 marked a significant turning point in cloning technology. Dolly was the first mammal to be cloned from an adult cell, proving that the DNA from an adult cell can be used to create a new organism. Since then, the field has evolved rapidly.
There were at least 8 foreskins of Jesus in Europe. He probably just kept healing it.
With several
Every time they cut it off, he'd be like, undone, motherfucker. Moil that, bitch.
Species, including cats, dogs, and even monkeys, being successfully cloned. However, the road to cloning is fraught with ethical dilemmas and controversies. Questions about the
This is the plot of that garbage movie, The Devil Conspiracy. I guess I don't remember that one.
Reality of creating life in a lab, the potential for abuse of the technology, and the consequences of creating
Solid
genetic...
Briss joke, thank you. I'll Briss here all week.
copies of individuals are hotly debated. The idea of cloning Jesus Christ, for instance, raises a host of ethical and religious questions. While cloning offers immense scientific potential, it also raises profound ethical and moral questions, especially when we consider the idea of cloning Jesus Christ. Imagine the implications of cloning Jesus Christ. What could it mean for religion and spirituality? A question that has been raised recently with the advent of modern genetics.
No offense, but like, Christians and Protestants fight about if a metaphor was a metaphor or transubstantiated. So I'd rather not get into the sort of sectarian conflict that would arise if you cloned Jesus. Is it actually Jesus? Is it just his genetic material? Is it only the human material? Sans divine. I don't need to hear that bullshit. I don't need it. Eat your fucking crackers. Shut up. Just tired. So tired.
Careful what you wish for. An AI that can design itself is one step away from an AI that doesn't need humans at all.
How
Ooh, 120 stream streak from my wife.
Advanced is artificial intelligence? Much more advanced than most people think. According to computer scientists and experts, AI is already self-aware and has been
Who's saying that?
Self-aware for over a decade. According to government insiders,
which ones?
AI was plugged into the deep state.
Now that's word salad.
Like a Skynet back in the Obama days.
Oh, I'm glad I saved this to last. This would have been a bingo in the first minute.
As a parting gift to future
I remember when they cloned K-Less.
generations.
Yeah.
To be used as a social credit score system, as a Skynet, and to pave the way for assimilation, transhumanism, and the hive mind. People are blissfully unaware as they play with their cell phones, unaware of just how advanced this technology has become and what the potentials are here. Artificial intelligence obviously doesn't think at the speed of human thought. It thinks at basically the speed of light. According to computer scientists, self-aware AI would evolve at rates that would just blow your mind, capable of doing 10,000 years of human research in just a week. That would mean that if AI was unleashed, it would be literally light years ahead of us in no time at all. Implementing its ideas, obviously, is another problem. It needs fingers in the real world. It needs hands and feet. And by now, it already has it. According to reports, the assimilation of people has already begun.
Oh, come on, you couldn't edit that flub? This guy's getting lazy.
The brain chips like Elon...
What IPs don't show up at all in conspiracy circles that you're most surprised the lack of inclusion? Honestly, so far, Fallout came out recently, and it's a really good show. I enjoyed the first season of Fallout greatly. As a big fan of Fallout, I liked it a lot. First of all, the vault she comes from is Vault 33. Freemason number. They have a fake sky that's projected in the vault to make it look like the real world. They have an overseer that maybe knows more than what's going on. You have secret government intrigue. I'm expecting as Fallout continues to get popular, that to show up in conspiracies more. Watch the Fallout show. Pretty good.
On Musk.
Even if you aren't a fan of the games, I think it's a show that you would probably at least get, some enjoyment out of. Check out at least the first episode.
And the WEF are proposing are just a cover story just to make people think like this thing is coming. But according to the experts, this thing is already here.
What
and
experts?
People have already been assimilated by nanotech. This would explain all of the NPCs, and it would certainly explain the graphene and the nanotech in the vaccines. Now that you're up to speed, let's talk about these Death Towers. These Death Towers are part of the AI plan.
God damn, is this guy drunk? He's so much worse at this today than he normally is.
To dominate the human domain. That's how they refer to human life, the human domain. These cell towers are capable of not only monitoring human thought.
Yeah, 5G on the bingo card.
They can see through walls like a type of radar, and they can target people with surgical precision, with invisible beams of radiation, hitting people at home and while they sleep. This system has been programmed by liberals, people that are woke,
woke liberals and your laser weapons,
people that hate conservatives, purebloods, Christians.
Yeah, he knows exactly who his target demographic is. This is the guy that I told you I don't think is a real conspiracy theorist. He's a grifter that's using this to bring in mentally ill and paranoid people in order to enrich himself. He has a Patreon. He sells a book about this. You get it.
And the like.
He's getting lazier, and I think it's illustrating the griftiness even better. He's barely trying. If anything, it feels like he's disappointed at how little he has to try. Listen to him. He's like, I don't know, pure bloods. He sounds like he's just riffing.
We are the number one target of this system. And the extermination, the assassination, and the genocide of humans has already begun. This is
chemtrails on the bingo card.
The biggest news story of the year. This is what the news is trying to understand.
That's funny. That's the guy grasping his chest as a stock image that Greg Land used to trace over for a really infamous Iron Man panel. Have I talked about how much I fucking hate Greg Land ever, by the way? Fuck Greg Land.
Is this Havana syndrome that's targeting people at night in their homes, forming the planet, spraying us like bugs, and it's being done in an automated way, controlled by artificial intelligence.
The use of Greg Land in the Roxxon era of comics that's happening right now is actually ironically pretty funny. It's the one time I've been like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Everything that's happening on television now, in politics and the like, is being steered by artificial intelligence. It's basically a runaway train. But
yeah, here it is. Yeah, Greg Land's the guy that also traces porn stars. Here it is. And to be clear, I know artists use things for reference all the time. That's not the issue. The issue is Greg Land literally traces not just photos, but he traces over other artists' work, which in the real world one would assume is plagiarism, but he just gets away with it. So, whatever. Where'd that go? Is it this? Yeah, it is.
It's obviously leaving a footprint. These death towers that are in everybody's neighborhood.
You can see the wrinkles on the face. In fairness, I believe that was when Iron Man was using his bleeding edge armor, which was supposed to be flexible, like with his skin and stuff, because it was like nanotech, but comes off as awful.
Neighborhood are basically a Trojan horse weapon system designed by AI, deployed by its commiserators, collaborators, people that have already been assimilated by nanotech and the like, or are being paid to do so on behalf of the AI. These weapon systems are targeting people right now as we speak. If you've been experiencing the 5G symptoms of targeting, chronic fatigue, recurring headaches, heart palpitations, vertigo, ringing in the ears, pain not associated with an injury.
Again, he basically just targets people who are paranoid, and that makes me mad. Okay, I think we're done for the day. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Let's see who we're gonna do a raid on. Man, Casfell has not streamed. I have not been on the same time as Casfell in a long, long time. That sucks. Because I wanted to raid for a while.
In a way that would be...
Well, we'll raid Swell Entertainment. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun. Tomorrow, like I said, I'll be back for the 420 stream. We'll be watching a variety of things. Probably some VHS, some conspiracy. I actually have some old conspiracy VHS stuff, like 90s and 80s UFO videos we might watch. Those might be fun. So if you are celebrating tomorrow, make sure you go get your materials. Am I starting at 420? Maybe even earlier. But that would make sense. I don't know. We're going to play that one by ear. I'll let everyone know on the Discord what I know for sure, at least an hour before, so people can kind of, you know, be prepared. Alright, have a great night. Love you, Mr. Blast, and I will see the rest of you tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Oh, if you want, on the Discord, there are places for you to recommend videos, so if there's anything for tomorrow, put it under its respective channel, whether it's tinfoil or VHS stuff or Sopsits, whatever it is, recommend it on the Discord in the respective channels. Alright, see you soon everyone, bye bye.